All right. And we are live. Welcome to the Iron Lords podcast, episode number 62. And it's another glorious Sunday, and we are back at the round table on the Lord's Day. And happy Matriarch's Day. All the moms out there in the realm, we salute you all. We've got Walmart leaks and Sony E3 plans, Nintendo Switch Online plans, Destiny 2 Warmind, phasing out base consoles, Microsoft quadruple A studios, and Days Gone to discuss. So we're going to get right into it. Let's introduce the four horsemen and those usual suspects at the round table. My co-host with the co-most, my brother from another mother, the difficult game conqueror, and the howl of the young wolf. My man, Lord Addict, how you doing, sir?
Doing pretty good. Thanks everyone for coming out.
Yeah, man. Oh, that energy's late.
Feeling better.
that man sound like he off some sickness. I like that. No doubt. And of course, we have our most technical gaming lord, the solo gamer who lives for the single player selfish experience, and also the Sostradamus, Mr. Offline Profile Illuminati himself, my man, Lord Sovereign. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right.
I know.
Could be better. Could be better. Could have a little more energy. Could have had a little more sleep. But you know,
I hear you, man. Well, listen. First of all, for you to even be in the spot after what you've been going through,
yeah, it's running on fumes, man.
I hear you, man. I appreciate you, bro. You already know that. You know, say thank you for everybody coming through on this glorious Mother's Day. And of course, we have the incredible Hulk of this, aka the Excess Gamer.
Ooh.
The Lord of Combat Sports, who is a man of his convictions, demands nothing less than the premium experience, and is the Get Money Gamer.
Ooh.
Beloved Lord King. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing incredibly great. I ain't even gonna front. I am so happy for what transpired last night. Shout out to HBO with Trying to Make a Star. Did y'all tune in to Trying to Make a Star? With Jorge Linares versus Vasily Lomachenko. Supposed to be the new hot butters. This is the one that they're telling you is supposed to be the heir apparent to anything Floyd Money Mayweather has ever built or anybody. Yes, this guy is supposed to be the bee's knees of this. Okay. This man is supposed to be the second coming.
Mm-hmm.
How you gonna be the second coming with a loss, though? That's the question I gotta say. I said, you're not the second coming of anything. You're the second coming of the loss. What we looking for is the second loss coming. That's what we looking for.
Did he took the L? He had all
No. Yes, listen. He had the L going into the joint yesterday, but they still, oh my God, he's the Matrix. He's the Matrix. His skills is unparalleled. Listen, you have two type of promoters, right? Mm-hmm. You have the promoter that's like Eddie Snake Oil Salesman Hearns, who will go and get somebody and build them up and feed them steady, constant food of garbage, right? And Bob Arum fits in that same mold. Bob Arum is Lomachenko's manager, promoter. He also promotes Manny Pacquiao. Now, what they would do is take a guy, invest, let's say, $50 million into one guy, right? And in that $50 million, they pay him more than they pay the other fighters that's in their stable. And they'll feed him those fighters as they get older, because they already have a name, and they'll feed him that person. And they know if this person had an injury when they was training or whatever. And you won't know this stuff, but that person will go around beating these dudes. And you would think, oh my God, he is so incredible. He's the illest dude alive, and they bill him as the hottest, latest butters. Then you also have a promoter or manager like Mayweather's promoter and manager, he who shall not be known. Right? So, let's say Ellaby. Let's put Ellaby there, right?
No doubt.
And then what they do is they get a whole stable of guys, and they pay everybody equally. And it's like Spartan camp, and it's like how you steel sharpens steel.
Okay,
right. So in that kind of camp, everybody gets paid at least $2 million or whatever, and may the best man win.
Yeah.
And going through, you actually see competition and these people actually growing. So you see Sean Porter versus Adrian Broner. You see these top fights, and then you can actually get a basis of how good your fighter is by him fighting steel, sharpening steel. And even if they do take a loss, you understand that they fought the best in getting that loss, right? Okay, so you can feel comfortable in your guy if your guy actually runs through a squad of hot dudes. Right, now, we have Vasily Lomachenko last night, and he went up against Jorge El Gato Linares. You know El Gato, right, Sovereign? You know about the Gato. They call him the
Gato, but whatever.
They call him the cat.
I just like the guy about him.
Yo, listen, they call this man the cat because he's so agile on his feet, and he is so nice with his hands, right? But he's underpowered. This is his knots. He's underpowered, and maybe his face might give out on him.
Okay.
Like scar tissue.
Exactly. He may take too many shots, and his face give out. All right. So they put Vasily Lomo the Matrix Chenko in there with El Gato, and El Gato was handling dude. First, I gave him the first round, I gave him the second round, I gave him the 6th round, and I gave him the 9th round. He got knocked out in the 10th round. But in the 6th round, Vasily Lomo Amzohatchenko got caught with a straight right hand and put him down on his butt.
Oh, wow.
That let me know one thing. If you in there with a real dude,
that's what's up.
If you in there with a real dude, he's gonna put you away with that one shot to the face. It was a clean shot to the face. Don't be fooled by what y'all saw. That's HBO crap going at it again. Showtime had nothing to do with yesterday.
This is HBO.
Thank you. I just wanted y'all to understand it was a good fight, but how they set up fighters. And if you feel good about your fighter, you got to know that he can get in there with anyone in the world at any time. Can't feel good about that guy. That guy did not pass the smell test.
Yeah. So we had that. So that was that for HBO boxing last night.
El Stinko.
Not the premium Showtime.
You get the Nano from the King.
You stupid. Yo, look, Soft, did you catch any UFC?
I didn't catch it live, but I did see a little bit this morning, and I saw. Oh Lord, did I never in my life would I think that a fighter would get caught twice in his career.
Yes,
with the same kick.
Lord Addict, you would appreciate this one. I know the combat sports is not your thing no more these days, but Lord Addict, you would appreciate this because we grew up the Anderson Silva fans, right? So we know that his famous knockout, one of his famous knockouts, is the front kick to Vitor Belfort's face. That actually made the cover. Did they make the cover of a UFC game?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. We got Lord Fonzarelli in the building.
Right on time for the UFC. Lord Fonz, how you doing, sir?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Absolutely. Did you catch the UFC last night?
Oh yeah,
we're just about to get into that card. We're talking about the Vitor Belfort Lyoto Machida card. Did you see that, sir?
Yeah, I saw that Lyoto Machida, or I should say Vitor Belfort, hasn't learned anything from Silva.
How crazy is that to get knocked out with the same style front kick, the same positioning technique? Have you not evolved? Like, what is going on?
And that is the problem when you have the geriatric league,
Thank you.
Bellator awaits.
I just think, look, you get to a certain age and, it's time to hang up the gloves. Yeah. Time to hang them up. And, for Vitor, he's never been the same since he's been off TRT,
Facts.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was just about to go there.
A lot of these dudes relied heavily on, steroids and stuff back in the day. And now that the, UFC's cracking down on that, some of these guys can't hang.
Yeah, it's facts. I mean, it extended careers. And let's be real, like Vitor had a run, during the TRT phase for his age group. Because, I mean, Vitor's been around a long time. I remember Vitor, the Phenom, when they was calling him the Phenom, 19 years old. And he was like a Tyson back in the day, right? And this kid just stormed the league. He's been around a long time. And just to see, like I said, he had that downside. Then he kind of had this crazy upswing during the TRT era, and everybody was like, oh, come on, bro. We know something's going on.
Jack, man, that guy had muscles upon muscles.
It was ridiculous. He stepped in the ring, you like, whoa, look at that. He getting in there. But he was susceptible to that front kick, though. Everybody found out his weakness was the tiger uppercut.
That's the thing. You got these two older dudes that they're both on an even keel here, and you think it's going to be a better fight and maybe a better outcome for Vitor here because let's face it, Lyoto hasn't been the same either.
Good point.
But that kick was so fast, man. I gotta say, it was faster than the front kick that Silva threw.
Yep.
Yes, it was. Now here's the point. I think we missing one point. Did y'all see the after effect that he just stood
there? He didn't know whether to be disrespectful or have reverence for him. So
because this was it was in Brazil. So this was the Brazilian showcase, and to see him just show that restraint and then just bow to him like I buried the legend.
He thought he killed him.
It's like he killed him, and then he just said respect. Like King. Remember we used to watch the old Kung Fu flicks?
I saw it. I saw it.
Bruce Lee put the thing over Chuck Norris' body.
Yes.
That's how it felt to me. It felt like he killed the legend. And then my humble respect.
That was it for him, hopefully, because financially, these guys have to fight in these geriatric leagues. This is what I've been talking about for a long time. These boxers don't have, and these UFC fighters, combat sports in general, don't have managers. They like going to a community college, right? And they don't have the financial advisors and stuff like that for people to advise them to save their money, to invest in these properties, to do this smart way, and set up a 401k plan for when this is over, because this is going to be over. What we saw last night was an exclamation point on somebody's career. And it was so sad.
Did he stand out to other Lord Fon from the fights last night? Because I got one from Bellator, but I want to finish up UFC.
Yeah. Well, did you guys talk about the rest of the card?
We have not.
Amanda Nunes?
You can hit it now.
Amanda Nunes, yeah. And here's the thing about Amanda Nunes. Last night, to me, it seemed like kind of an off night for her, but it was a good night for her. You know what I'm saying?
Was.
She didn't look as good as sharp as she usually does. And I think Pennington just had no business in there to begin with. And when she basically went to the corner and said no mas, her corner should have listened.
Her corner said nah.
I know it hurt. Thing. There's a big controversy right now when she came out that last round, and she went to her corner, says no, I'm done, and they were like, come on, go back out there. And it is a big point of contention, Love Fon. Now, where are you at with that? Because I'm seeing some of the community saying like, hey, you have to listen to the fighter. The fighter doesn't want to go anymore. You throw the towel. And then I'm hearing the fighters saying, hey, I would want my corner. Like Misha Tate was like, I would want my corner to do that, to get me out there, to give it that last whatever. Like, what's your feeling on that whole thing? As far as a corner man,
okay. Here's the thing. I think this fight is going to be the fight that signifies basically that puts it out there that maybe the fighter should be listened to a bit more, because what happened when she went back out there?
Oh my gosh,
her nose was broken already. She knew it was shattered. She was in a lot of pain.
But did you see the amount of blood that came out after?
It just
God. Yeah. But anyway, I just think that she knew she was done, and to push her out there like that, especially up against Nunes, come on, like Pennington again, she had no business in there.
Yeah.
But that said though, she should have stood with her though. She should have.
No, listen, as a fighter,
going back to Amanda Nunes, like having an off night. in the beginning, like she traded blows with her, and it seemed like at the very least she would be able to stand with Nunes, which really nobody can do.
At the beginning, and then towards the end, the last couple of rounds, those perfectly timed knees, those combinations Nunes was putting on her, it was over. It was over. You saw the writing on the wall. And I just think that at that
I saw it happening.
And she said,
I knew watching the fight. I love Amanda Nunes. I'm sorry. And what y'all saw when they was trading in the beginning, like y'all probably thought it was something even. What I didn't see that. I saw give ground, and when I seen give ground, I say, okay, this is going to be the tempo of the fight. And then it just started out as, okay, you said even. Then she gave ground, and then she come in and she keep giving ground. When you give ground mentally, you're breaking down. When she went to her corner and told him, yo, I'm done, it's a wrap, it should be something in place that the fighter can say, well, they've done it in boxing, no mas. It's a wrap right here. I don't care what these dudes is talking about. And it would have saved her face from explosion, because her face had entered explosion mode. And when, it was so scary that to see that much blood, and I'm not gonna say just because it's a female, but it's female fighting. We are protective by nature over females. It doesn't matter. That's how it is. And to see her face explode that much, and then to hear her say prior, I don't want to go back out there. She took headshots, her face exploded, and that would have never happened had her corner cared a little bit more. I knew she wasn't in it, and mentally, once you check out, you check out.
And I would say once she says she's done, her mind wasn't there no matter what. Like, she went out there and tried to go through the motions, but she was mentally done. Like, there was all she wanted to do was defend herself and find a way out of there.
And the problem is, you have Amanda Nunes coming into this fight. She was 24 and 6, and you got and Pennington was 9-5, and the last time she fought was 2016. Why was this girl there? That is my whole point to this. Like, it makes no sense. And I don't know what transpired there. What made the UFC say, "Hey, Pennington's next in line"?
I think honestly because the what you call thing fell through, because they were trying to get the cyborg fight with her,
right?
And I think for whatever reason, I don't know, that fell through or whatever. Then this kind of came up. That's, let's be real. Like, that's the fight people want to see.
Right.
Oh yeah.
That's the feeding that I told you. You feed
absolutely
fighters, other fighters, and they're not capable of being in that same ring with that other fighter, and detrimental things like this happen.
Yeah. So let's move on. We had also on the card, we had what else we had, Fonz? We had
Jacare Souza versus
Castellan. Yes.
He's my new dude, Jacare.
Yeah, Jacare. I got the boogaloo.
Yeah, I know this is true, but I like him though. I like him.
Jacare's his lungs are not right, man.
Yeah. The old guard, man. The old guard. I mean, Kelvin put on a good show, dropped him, I believe, in a second. And I mean, he had a pretty strong performance. He's talking about now that he's going to hold out until he gets a title shot. What do you feel about that, Fonz?
I think he's deserving of a title shot. He's been fighting for a little while now, a few years, and he's got some good names under his belt. And I think that this fight against Jacare was a good test, because honestly, once Jacare usually gets people down on the ground, man, like, that dude is great.
It's a wrap.
And he had Kelvin on the ground, and I thought, man, this could be over for him. But he pushed through and got the win on this. And here's the thing: it could have went either way for me. And I'm glad the judges got it right with a split.
Yes,
here, because it was very, very close.
It was close. It was. I agree. And last but not least, I want to comment on Bellator. I don't watch them a lot. I know me and Fonz
on the senior circuit.
Yeah, I don't comment. There was a particular fight that stood out to me. And as we know, there's the heavyweight tournament going on over there.
Oh, man. You talking about Bader?
Yeah, I want to talk about the Ryan Bader and the King Bowl of Wall. Because that was 15 seconds of goodness. It lit King. It felt like if Adrian Broner went up in weight and tried to get it on with a heavyweight. And still with the same bravado. In 15 seconds, he got his wig split Like it was the quickest hook and dropping, and he was literally asleep. Like I knew it was so bad because I think 50 was like at Bellator. 50 been doing a lot of stuff promoting with Bellator, and
he gets promotion credits and payment from Bellator. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So basically,
like I don't know where they were fighting. What Indian casino was this at?
Probably at the Mohegan Sun up the block.
It has a lot to do with it because again, we got to go back to the steroid thing. Bellator is all about that stuff. You know, they don't have.
I love that. I wish baseball had a separate league for the steroid OD. I really do. And I love the fact that Bellator is like, over here, we don't check for that. Just come on in. I love it.
Dizzy, shout out to Dizzy in the chat. He said, "Oh, this is why he tried to get a fight with Rampage." Yeah, I heard the rumors with Rampage and 50. I don't know what's going on. I just know him and Coker is doing some business. But it was funny because literally when Mo got knocked out, 50 put the tweet out. He's like, "Damn, Mo slipped."
King Mo used to be the mess. He used to be the mess.
Yeah, he was like the agent brother for him. What do you feel about it?
Vader has been around for a while. You know, when he was at the UFC, he wasn't looking as good. You know, he needs that juice, so he's a good fit for Bellator.
Savage.
And King Mo himself. I used to like King Mo a lot. He's a good dude. Met him one time. It's funny. I got a funny story about meeting this guy. Me and my best friend met him at one of these conventions, and this guy, man, he liked us so much. He just gave us his phone number, bro. Like he would give anybody his phone number back in the day. If you were talking to him and you liked him or whatever, he'd say, "Here, here's my phone number. Text me, whatever."
Wow.
What? Like
that's crazy. I gotta give him credit. I mean,
Jay Passarelli was texting King Mo last night.
He didn't get that text.
He texted him last night and said, "Wake up, bro. Wake up."
Oh,
yeah, that's the thing though. He would give it out so much that after a while, his management team told him, "Hey, you got to slow down. Don't be giving out."
He ain't know how social media work, huh?
No, I like King Mo. He used to be a good fighter. I don't know, man. I think his chin just got wrecked.
Chin is not there, and he's not a heavyweight. He's never been a heavyweight.
Now, he's won heavyweight Grand Prix before, has he? He was
not with these dudes.
It was Strike Force or something, right? It was Strike Force or something like that.
These is real heavyweights out here. Like you can't.
That was the tomato can league. So that's what Strike Force was. They was trying to pump Strike Force up. all the Strike Force champions got slaughtered like dogs in the battles. When UFC got them. I'll never forget it. When UFC got a hold of Strike Force fighters, they could not wait to put them in the ring with the real fighters. It was a wholesale slaughter.
The only people to do well out of Strike Force was like Ronda Rousey for a while, and
Ben Henderson.
So we found out about what Ben
Henderson came from the WEC. WEC.
Oh, that's right. WEC. That's right.
Acquisition by the UFC that had some stars, some legit stars out of the WEC. We still have Cowboy Cerrone to this day. We've got Ben Henderson now.
I like Cowboy.
We've got so many people that came out of there that were great fighters. WEC is one of my all-time favorite leagues, man.
Absolutely.
They always put on a good fight.
Yeah, man. So it's a good got a bunch of cards last night. Yeah, the Combat Sports taking us. Shout out to TF Guard in the chat. Going hard. Shout out to you, TF Guard. I know we got Fonz in the building, so Combat Sports had to go down a little longer than usual.
I even watched that Lomachenko fight. I watched that too.
Yes.
What did you think of that? Because I've been saying that Barbaram's been propping him up. He's gonna put him in there with Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao can catch a resurgence because Manny Pacquiao can still crack. He'll crack you in your head and split your dome straight down the middle. And I want him to hit Lomachenko so bad.
It's funny. I kind of see that. But at the same time, there's glimpses of Manny Pacquiao I see in Lomachenko. But is he as good as Manny in his prime? Nah, I don't think so.
No doubt. All right, so we got for Combat Sports. I want to get a question and shout out to Lord Victor Alistine in the chat. He says he definitely wants us to do a question and answer segment. Maybe at the end we can do that. But I'm going to actually give him a favor since he was dealing with the combat talk. He's basically asking a question concerning Halo. Do you think 343i needs a new leader other than the Bonnie Ross? I like her, but I feel she's taking Halo in the wrong direction. Perhaps she needs a new studio with a new IP. What do you think about that, Lord Fonz?
Talking about Halo and what now?
And Bonnie Ross. Yeah, like basically they're saying that 343 needs kind of like a new leader. So
I think that Halo needs a reboot completely. I think the route that they took it with Halo 5, because I'm playing through the Halo 5 campaign again. Don't ask me why I'm putting myself through that shit, okay?
Interesting.
But I'm doing it again because I'm trying to give it sort of a second go through on the X as well, because on the X it's beautiful, man.
Oh yes, absolutely.
But man, I just keep thinking to myself as I'm playing through it, man, this game just needs a reboot. Because here's one of the things about Halo that I think that needs to be reworked. I think the guns need to be all reworked, man, because that's about this game that feels so stale. These same guns, we've been playing with these same guns forever. And I think that's the one thing we really love about Destiny is always having these new everything. Even when they're reskinned, they're doing different things. Do something different with these weapons.
Gotcha.
Fair
enough. Solve and Addict. Any feeling about Bonnie and Halo's direction?
I agree with Fonz. Like they need a reboot. I wouldn't mind a third-person action game in the Halo universe with Master Chief. Like I said it before. Master Chief, he's like a 7 foot tall like cyborg. Like let's do some more stuff with him other than just shoot and be able to to run fast and jump high.
No doubt.
You can do a lot more.
All right. So, Attic, what have you been playing, man? Let's get into what the Lords have been playing.
Well, when it comes to this whole Halo thing, you guys are idiots.
You want more the same?
Look. People put jumping. People put dashing and sprinting into the Halo, the Spartan dash and the sprinting in Halo, and look what the outcry was.
Yeah, community.
Halo. Look, like the people who play Destiny, the people who play Halo, both of them they played both games, but they're completely two different player base. If you be switching up, making a third party, look, people might play it, but you're gonna have half the fan base be like, I ain't messing with this. It's not Halo. You got the other half of the fan base is gonna be like, well, I guess it's okay, but I'm probably not gonna pick up a sequel. Look, they're taking Halo in the right direction. They just messed up on the story.
Okay, so that's what happens if 6 is a dud?
I don't think
5 wasn't a dud.
I thought 5 was really good.
5 story was a dud. I'm sorry. The 5 story was a dud.
You can't deeming the story as the whole game. Multiplayer is still one of the highest played games on Xbox.
That is true.
You're not tired of any of those guns, man?
Well, I mean, maybe.
You know what's funny?
Right.
The same people, like you just mentioned, Destiny. The same people saying this are the same people who got the same 3 guns they go into every multiplayer map with.
That is true, and maybe Lord Fonzarelli is right when he says that maybe he wants a little bit more variety when it comes to guns in the main campaign. I feel exactly what you're saying as well.
I think the story is the only thing that needs to be overhauled. They need to make minor tweaks to the multiplayer and bring it to the next game. And they need to they pretty much need to fire whoever made that Halo 5 story.
But the story was decent, though. Y'all didn't like the fact that his Ace Boon Coon turned into a 100% bag.
We all know why
they lied. They lied to us.
But see, here's the thing.
They did lie. Still holding that against them?
That's right. That would have been more exciting.
Look. They did lie.
What, him in the desert with a scarf on his neck? Why the hell does a Spartan need a scarf?
That's hard. That's Halo 3. That's not Halo 4.
No, I'm talking about that. They stole 5.
Technically,
the trailer. When he was in the desert with a scarf on his neck, why the hell does a Spartan need a scarf?
3. That was hold on. Yeah.
That was 5.
They had both. Yeah, he had scarves in both.
Halo 5. Its story was bad. I like the overall concept.
They just trying to get the new black bald-headed dude in there.
No, it's not even that. It's the fact that I work at a job. And they tell me when they're training me to talk to people, it was like, keep expectations on a realistic level. They went out there saying, this is what you're going to get. And I understand why they did it. They did it to hide the fact that Cortana is fucking crazy. Oh, I apologize. I shouldn't have said that.
That's right.
I love the fact that she went nuts, though. I love the fact
to show
that
that Cortana went crazy. But at the end of the day, there's better ways to hide that fact than blatantly lie to your player base.
So you saying the Triller guy messed up?
And that's the thing about it.
That's
Once
all-
you start playing the game, the Cortana stuff doesn't even get shown to you in an interesting way. Like, you know she's going crazy, and you know that he's gonna have to make some choice.
One of they did in the game, right? Cortana showing up in the Earth solar system. They're sitting there. She's like, "Oh, I found you." She takes the whole planet down. Like,
yo, I loved it. I see. That's why I can't. That's like one of my best Halos besides ODST.
Like,
and,
dude, when she did
other
that,
one.
I flipped out, man.
And you like fighting the same boss over and over.
Yeah, that fighting that same thing.
Has the story, though. That has to do with the story. I said the story needs to be reworked.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. Yeah.
How they need to go into this is they need in the second, because like people want a reboot. No, I want to find out what happens to Cortana. I don't care about your guys' reboot.
Yo, me too. I'm like, don't mess up the story yet because I didn't get to the end yet.
I want what they need. What they need.
But can we kill off Locke right at the beginning in 6?
Yeah, that's
No, I think what needs to happen is they need to go towards that Halo 2 direction. Where Locke is a second character and he's not the primary focus.
They're trying to be the primary.
I think what it is they really tried to do something different.
They did it wrong, though.
Yeah, they didn't fulfill what they tried to do.
This is what they did.
Yeah,
they let's take God of War for instance. They're introducing whatever his kid's name. Yeah. They're building the fan base to love this little kid. They let you fight with him. In the second one, he's going to be older. In the third one, he's probably going to take Kratos' spot. Like they're giving.
Or they're probably going to fight each other, and he gonna go mad like Katana, and you got to kill him.
Like this is how I like. Okay, you get into the first one. God of War's letting you build up to it. And if they go that way, they can go that way because they built people up to like the character. Sure, people are still going to be mad, but you can't kick the door open and throw a grenade and kill Master Chief in the same motion. Like that's literally what they did.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, I felt that was a little bit
misleading. Could have took over the
game. Is not terrible. Game's not terrible. The multiplayer is fantastic still. Yeah, I do agree with Fonz that they do need to, start popping up as far as the variety with the gunplay and stuff like that. And that's why, we still, here still love Destiny for that fact, that gunplay. But yeah, it's just the story. That's my main thing. At
the end of the day, the story needs to be reworked. There needs to be more of a character development. You can't have a talking scene a whole chapter. There was a whole chapter.
Little Fonzarelli. When Bungie left, they took the guns.
Yeah, Bungie took the gunplay.
I think the gunplay is still good. I still enjoyed the gunplay.
Yeah, Bungie said you can have these guns, but we're taking these with us.
Yeah, we're gonna take all these SMGs with us.
Like they need. What I think that Halo really started going downhill is when they messed up on the Prometheans from Halo 4. They could have did so much more with that race. Yeah, but their intro messed them up from the start, so they couldn't do nothing about it.
No doubt. All right, so Fonz been playing Halo. Attic, you've been playing. What you been playing, Sweet?
I have a couple games I'm playing right now. I can't really go into a couple of them. I'm playing. I'm actually playing a game called Master of Anima. That's like really fun.
Cool. No doubt. What is it for? What's it for?
I only know it's on the Xbox. I'm not quite sure if it's on the Switch. Okay. It looks like a Switch game that you would play. So
yeah, that was kind of like an XCOM style, or just.
Well, no, it's like a strategy.
Like turn-based?
Like what happens is the world's being took over because you can actually shapeshift stuff into people. And like your sensei's old disciple comes back because everyone thought he was dead. And he just starts shapeshifting like the most bad stuff in the entire world because he's got like some uber powers now. And he's like summoning giant golems and stuff. And like you're like a disciple and your girl is like a prodigy and she disappears.
I gotta check it out. Keep an eye. What's the name of it again? Give me.
He took out your girl because he knew she can't feed him those hands.
Give the name chat again one more time because that sounds pretty cool.
It's called Master of Anima. It's a really fun game. Like you can at the beginning you could only summon like soldiers, but now I'm able to summon soldiers and archers, and you have to like work them together to make, because like together individually they're useless, but like you keep the archers in the back, the soldiers in the front. The soldiers will pretty much be meat shields for the archers to attack. Like, and I've only unlocked 2, and there's like 6.
No doubt.
Y'all a bunch of idiots.
Go to chat.
Well, that's true. That's so
I'm gonna
true.
tell you right now. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. I do not look like Luke Cage. So you're gonna stop that right now.
That King look like Locke from Halo. King Locke. They call you King Locke.
Y'all a bunch of idiots. Chris, you started that. I saw when you started it.
Chris, remember the chat. I saw that's the homie. Yo, Lord Saab, what have you been playing this week, man?
Nothing, man. I wanted to play some God of War, and I played Nathan. You know, the only thing I played was a little more Tropical Freeze on the Switch.
Holla.
Yo, you know what I want to play? I know what I want to play, Lord Sovereign.
Oh, way out?
That we started, that you didn't help me finish because you got the game. Y'all finish the game, please. I bet you finished it, though.
No, by myself.
I just want to throw that out there. Me and Kid beat that in the same day it came out, pretty much. What's going on?
I know you did. Yeah, I'm just.
Whoa.
But you also beat God of War in like I don't know how many days. Like,
Don't talk to him.
Your name is Attic for a reason. I can't.
Absolutely. Lord King, what have you been playing this week?
Okay, so oh my God, I could not wait for Destiny to come up.
Oh, he said Luke Cage season 3 coming. King David, let us know.
Oh yeah, I've been playing Destiny. I forgot about that.
I couldn't wait for Destiny to come out, and when it came out, I felt like a newborn baby back at it again. But also at the same time, I mean, because shout out to your pod shots that I've been actively
Flashpoint baby.
I was actively inside the Flashpoints. Trolling, like, let me see, and I said I can't write anything inside because I wanted to troll, but I couldn't. And I'm a super fan. I'm one of those little side fans in the corner. But y'all was putting me up on stuff that I didn't know what was going on, and we're gonna talk about that later. Yeah. But PUBG did some crap. They put back out the Miramar map the same day that joint came out, and I was going back and forth with Death and with Monkey playing Destiny and Chris, and then sliding back into PUBG. I was a man torn. I was a man living a double life. It was not good.
It's all good, man. So you get your dinners. I see Death in the chat, aka Blizzard Beats any Sony Dev in there. So I know that's your crew. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
No doubt. Shout out to Bring Harmony in the chat. New person there. Bring ILP. That's Iron Lord's podcast, brother. That's what it is. Yeah, for me it's just been
Hey, hit those likes because it's mad of y'all in there. What's going on?
Yeah, it's a lot of love today.
Hit that like if you think he looks like Luke.
Hey man, stop that, man. Yo, Addict. You got to start showing your face so they know that you look like what's that, Mankind.
Rip Van Winkle.
No, he look like Mankind from wrestling.
I use face cam a lot. I've already heard it all. I look like Castaway. I look like I mean, I've already heard it all.
Oh my God! So for me, it's been Warmind pretty much all day, every day. Yes, sir. They savage right now. Started the Leviathan Wings, Lord Attic, and all that. Know about that? Doing a lot of Crucible. Yo, shout out to Sinister. Shout out to Super Gangster. We was getting it popping in the with the getting our raid.
Don't ever mention Super Gangster name in here.
Oh Lord,
that's the guy that had the Gallahorn. Yo, we tried this raid. I'm sorry, I gotta tell a story. All right.
Lord.
Listen, we was in the raid. We were in what was that? The Taken King. We in the daggone raid. Or was it Crota? No, we was in Crota. We was in Crota. And we're trying to, all y'all gotta do is shoot your Gallahorns at the end, right? Like shoot them, take them down, and we going in. I swear we was probably there for 4 hours. When we beat him, Super Gangster says, maybe I should have took my Gallahorn out of the locker.
Shout out to Super, man. Y'all killing my boy, man. He came back.
No,
He played
I ain't
Destiny
gonna never get off his neck off of that. My foot is on
He
your
made a
neck for
rookie
that.
mistake. He made a rookie mistake. But
No, he was a
well,
veteran.
actually, you know what's funny? You know what's funny? Quick
He did it
story.
again?
He pissed off Lord Attic last night because
Yeah, thank
we
you.
were doing the Leviathan raid. Lord Attic can tell you the brief version of it, but it's just like, yeah, Lord Attic wasn't pleased with their teamwork because the Leviathan raid requires a lot of communication, a lot of teamwork. Felt good, but it seems like that side on the solar side with Addict and Super Gangster wasn't going so well, huh? Addict, you had some issues?
Man, I'd rather play with my 10-year-old brother.
Thank you, Addict. I appreciate that. So
Shout out
now
to
that we
Super
know
Gangster, man. We killing him.
King ain't the one with the problem.
Like,
Yo,
look,
shout out Native, what's up in the chat? Nicholas
Super
Graham,
was
what's up?
good and everything. It's just he wasn't doing little stuff that he needed to do, like calling out what colors is on his part. Like, that's important. Do you expect me to go run around, find these little crystals or whatever they are, go over there, tell them your job, and then go do my job, and then go do Cognito's job when he's doing Sinister's job, and then go back and do Gangster's job again?
Facts.
Like, no, like I got too much to do, and I can't come back just to tell you what crystals is on your side. Like, stop acting like you didn't go to elementary school. You ain't colorblind. You know what
Destiny Rage bringing people together once again. Yes, last point I want to make is with the whole raid thing is shout out to Xbox LFG because of Xbox LFG we have got some of the funniest elitist random people in R6 when we are missing 6 people. And shout out to the dude who was 360 light who came into our chat, saw that we were 340 light when Addict mentioned how his light level, and immediately left the chat as soon as he heard our light.
He was right though. He was right. So I can't say that. He was right.
That's Chris. That's Chris. That is Chris. Chris is the captain of the bougie.
That's usually me, but not that time.
All right, so let's get into it. We've been rambling long enough. All right, last week's poll results are in, and the people have spoken to the question: when negative impressions or preview coverage of a highly anticipated title are released to the public ahead of its launch date, how much does this impact your decision in buying the game? The winner at 41% in a razor close 4-way ILP poll was it has no impact. If I love a game, I will still buy it group. Yep. Coming in at second though, super close, 38% was the only if I'm on the fence about the game group. Shallow third place, that 16% was you just scared of that Metacritic fam. And coming in at last place, it was a huge impact, won't buy the game. What do Lord Fonza really think about this?
Man, usually for me, it has a little bit of an impact on my buying decision when I compile a bunch of different reviews, especially from maybe sites and people that I know personally. If they talk negatively on something and give me their explanations and it makes sense to me and it resonates with me, then it may impact my buying decision. But for the most part, I like to try the games myself before, hopefully if there's demos or whatnot. Usually though, I know if I'm going to like a game, before it comes out.
Facts. I hate it, man. Lord Saab, real quick, I want your feedback on this.
I mean, I feel the same way. I've done it less recently, but I'm usually pre-ordering games. If I know it's something that I want, I'm going to get it and I'm going to play it. I like to read reviews and stuff and people's opinions on the stuff after I've already played it and kind of see where people's opinions of the game vibe, how they vibe with mine, how they're different. But, I want to experience it for myself. I mean, every now and again, you're going to find like you're excited for something and it turns out to be a dud, and then maybe you have a little bit of a buyer's remorse, but after beyond that, I'd rather play it myself.
Yeah, man, I hear. I mean, it was a close one. I mean, obviously it was razor close between the people who feel that if they love it they're gonna buy it, and also the people that feel that, hey, if I'm on the fence, and I think I'm kind of a combination of both. I think if I'm on the fence with something and I do hear, like, say something, I'm like, I'm not sure, I have some lukewarm interest, and I start to hear a bunch of negative stuff from people I trust or reviewers I trust, then that may say, okay, I'll hold out for the sale. But if it's something like I love, for example, this was kind of low-key inspired by the State of Decay fiasco, like, I'm going to get it because I like State of Decay. I told people, I know, Fonz, me and you've had this discussion offline, like, they literally can give me State of Decay 1 reskinned. and I was going to be there day one. That's how much I love the original franchise. So
yeah, it's funny. I started playing State of Decay again, last week just to get back familiar with the controls again. And then Irrelevant Native, shout out to him. He's in the chat. He started playing it last night. He's like, man, I'm addicted to it again. And I said, exactly. The game's just that good. If you're into these type of survival games, this one is top notch, man. Yeah. I can't wait.
Absolutely. All right, so we're gonna get into these topics, and I got a lot to talk about. Anyone else on the poll before I go? I thought somebody said something.
Well, I feel the same way Sovereign feels about it. Actually, I really don't care what anybody else says about a game at all. Really, do not care. What really helps me make my decision is my tight group. So if I notice like a lot of dudes in my group is going to get a certain game and has a multiplayer function, because most of the games that I play, and mainly I game on Xbox, there's a multiplayer component that's linked to those games that allows me to know that, okay, I'm going to be able to enjoy this with set amount of friends and no one will be excluded. Now, single player games, like I've been trying to get right back into God of War, but these multiplayer games have been yanking me from that experience. So no matter how great a game will be scored or how bad a game will be scored, doesn't skew my view. I'm gonna get it because I want it, because I want to experience it. Yeah. But also, me pre-purchasing a game really has a lot to do with my community.
No, I feel you. I hear you. That's actually a great point as well. Yeah, good topic. So we're going to get this thing going. Lord Sov. Walmart in the news. Sony in the news. What's going on, man?
All right, so to start off, let's have a round of applause for Walmart Canada. Let's have a round.
Yeah, Walmart, baby. Shout out to that one.
Years.
Every year at about...
They had one job.
They had one job.
That's that one job, a Twitter account. You had one job.
Every year at about this time, some online wing of a brick and mortar store or an online store finds it in their heart to fold E3 for everyone, fans and publishers alike. And this year, Walmart Canada stepped up to the plate and they hit a grand slam.
They had a lot of traffic.
Oh, Lord, did they ever. So this year, Walmart Canada had a leak of basically every game coming down the pipeline. For E3 and beyond. In some cases, years beyond.
They just flew in the next 4 years of E3.
Forza Horizon 5 dropping this year.
Yeah. So let's get into some of these titles. Right? The big one that people are talking about because
this is the list part 2.
This is the list part 2.
And I fell for that last list. I fell for that last list. Addict done made a fool of me on live camera. I'm not doing it again. Addict, I bend the knee.
We gotta go buy t-shirts to go to E3 with the t-shirts again.
Addict, I bend the knee early.
He don't want none of that list smoke, man. None.
Nope.
Let's take it in chat. What's going on, man? Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. That's what's up.
Happy capitalistic day, because you a mother every day.
True. Every day is Matriarch's Day. Continue.
There we go.
All right, so the big one that's been talked about in this list is Rage 2 from Bethesda and id Software. It's kind of a surprise because a lot of people figured that Rage, the first one, didn't sell as well as they had hoped, so maybe it wasn't getting a sequel. But I mean, Bethesda's shown in the last few years that they're willing to take risks on properties that they own and bring them back out.
Yeah, right. You know what that is.
What do you think it is?
Yeah, that's we made 2 stacks on Skyrim. We can afford some loss.
Well, yeah, but they made stacks on Doom too. People
not like people with it. To this day, people still buying that stuff.
Skyrim and Fallout is a whole another beast. Like
I would go Fallout, but okay.
You don't want to give Anchor his time.
You don't want to give Anchor his time.
Wait,
shout out to
Anchor's isn't he a Skyrim fan as well, or he's more Fallout?
He's Fallout. He's a Fallout boy.
Yeah, to the death.
Fallout.
Yeah.
So, Rage 2, I believe tomorrow we're probably gonna get an actual actual reveal from Bethesda themselves about Rage 2. So that turns out to probably be true. And then looking at the other stuff on this list, Splinter Cell, which has kind of been hinted at, but still, hasn't had an official announcement. So they folded that for Ubisoft. The Division 2, it was already mentioned that it was going to be there. Last of Us 2, Sony already mentioned that they were going to focus on, and we'll talk about that in the second part of this topic. Going to focus on specific games, so we knew about that. So let's look at other stuff that hasn't been announced. Just Cause 4 by Avalanche. The original Just Cause 3 came out about 3 years ago now, so it makes sense. That game, I think people were excited for Just Cause 3 because Just Cause 2 kind of blew up because of how crazy of a murder simulator it was. And
but can they implement something in Just Cause 4 that makes me want to finish that game?
Oh yeah. They're not going to give you a story, that's for sure. You're not getting anything of that. They're going to give you something fun to do in the world, to blow stuff up, and that's about it. The first one when it came out on Xbox was kind of broken and janky. They fixed it somewhat, and it runs a lot better on the X. But no X enhancement for that game. It needs an X enhancement.
That game will not get an X enhancement because fundamentally to the core, it runs horrible.
It is broken, but I love that the wingsuit. The wingsuit is hot.
Continue.
I'd rather play Tetris.
Oh my God!
Mister, give me a wingsuit and I will overlook your floor.
So guys, what is Destiny Comet?
Destiny Comet is always the code name for the expansion that that will always launch on the Sony stage. So it'll basically be the Taken King equivalent for Destiny 2 this year in September, and that's coming. That's a fact. That can't be hard to guess. That's definitely a fact.
Okay. So other things that they talk about. Let's see. Let's look at this. Dragon Quest 2, that was assumed it was coming. NBA 2K, obviously. Metroid Prime, we're probably going to see something. We're probably I don't know about a gameplay, but definitely a trailer. Borderlands 3 it had been hinted at again. They have all but not announced it yet. So this is all stuff that's coming down the pipeline. Beyond Good and Evil 2, we just saw another tech demo. Final Fantasy VII Remake. We talked about this last week on whether it's going to get fake or whatever. That's
where they messed up right there.
Vaporware. That's when I knew that list was not
right there, and it was over.
And it was not going on my back.
So then we go to Lego DC Villains. I can see that happening. I mean, that's one of those slideshow games. I don't know who stage is going to appear on.
Speaking of Final Fantasy VII, that is coming, but not till the year 2028.
Exactly. PS6.
When it start again,
when the world really looks like Final Fantasy, when we an industrial complex nation,
we'll be in Midgar. Continue.
They put up Assassin's Creed, which I think they said there's no Assassin's Creed this year. If they're going to be doing Splinter Cell, and I'm hearing Watch Dogs. I think they realize that taking
Watch Dogs might be a little too soon.
Watch Dogs has been.
How long when did part 2 come out?
It's been a second.
It's been about 3 years.
About 3 years.
And get rid of those trendy hipsters, and I'm all in.
Yeah.
I really liked that direction, though. I did. Like, I really did. I like the little yo-yo that he had. It was. I'm sorry, man. I love the hacker joint. It was fun to me. I was like, yeah, I could get this.
No. The hacking is the basis. The base element of this game. The hacking's cool. The yo-yo, not so cool.
You didn't like that you was getting in gunplay and you hit him in the face with a yo-yo?
The fact that the main protagonist was like a barista at Starbucks. No.
That's another game though that needs an X enhancement. That world was really nice. No X enhancements for that game. They need it. Okay, so now winding down to the Xbox releases that kind of drew my eye. So Gears of War 5, and that's a little surprising to me just because there's no Halo there.
Oh man, I gotta say thank you again.
Thank you, Lord Spoonman.
Spoonman, you added me on Xbox.
Appreciate the donation,
man. What we playing, so much. Spoonman? We playing Destiny. What we doing?
He said he's hitting the weights. He's got to bounce early. He's hitting the weights and visiting Mom's grave. Have a great day. All much love. Rest in peace to your mom. Happy Matriarch's Day. Absolutely. Always appreciate you in the chat, Lord Spoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Spoonman.
Enjoy your day, man. Continue, so.
Absolutely. So yeah, Gears 5. Gears 5 is it's a little interesting to see there. Maybe we'll see some sort of trailer, something, story, something, a little bit of a teaser. Yeah, you never know if there's some sort of spin-off as well. We heard that the coalition was working on some other side stuff that they kind of shot down, but maybe it's just to throw people off. But it's interesting to see it before Halo, and maybe
that is interesting. That is interesting.
They just have Halo really on the wraps,
Yeah, it could be. Shout out to Lord Santoba. Lord added in the building. He said Gears 5 ain't happening. He said Gears is, but 5 ain't. So it could be like the name conventions could be wrong, and maybe there's some type of spinoff title. It would be interesting. It's like you said, Sav, if it's before Halo, right?
Right. Before the Horizon. Maybe it's the year of the Horizon.
Well, we're definitely getting Horizon 4.
Probably
not
Horizon
5.
Probably Gears Horizon.
Well, didn't we hear something about Horizon, like kart racers or something like that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Continue.
So the last one on the list is Forza Horizon 5, which is obviously a misprint because there's no 4 yet.
Exactly.
So this, I mean, that's a guarantee. We're gonna see Horizon 4 this year. They're on the same release cadence. So this is Horizon's year. I love Horizon 3. If the speculation about Japan is true, that seems like a great place to take that game and expand on the festival stuff that they've been doing. The cars, the night scenes should be crazy. And with this one being built from the ground up for the X, it's guaranteed to be a beautiful game. So excited about this stuff, man. So the funny thing is, Walmart, after all this happened, they say, well, so they didn't run it back or anything like that. They didn't specifically say. They were like, oh, these are just like just speculation on our part. This is speculative on our part because they couldn't do anything to run it back. It's out there. I don't know if the page is available anymore. They might have cleared the page out, but so yeah, they folded E3 for a bunch of buttons.
I'm sad. I'm sad that I didn't hear anything on Dragon Age. I wanted to see Dragon Age.
Yeah.
Lord Fonzarelli, all this is fake news.
You scarred from last year's league.
No. Donald Trump publicists put this list out. Don't pay this no mind. All right, let this wash over you because you will get that Dragon Age because I want that as well. Don't pay none of this no mind. And Randall Thor has been on the show. We love him here. The room is beautiful with him in it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Lord Rand. We might be seeing him soon. Lord Matt, don't worry about it. This is interesting. I mean, we saw this before. I mean, I'll jump in real quick. I kind of think majority of this is kind of true. It's not that it's true. It's just like common sense kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they're like, so out there. They just got a lot of typos. The Gears 5, the Forza Horizon 5. Shout out to Dizzy in the chat. He said that it's 5 because they know snap the glove. I'm done. But yeah, man. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I don't think this is too far off. I think there's some truth. And I thought what was interesting is how Bethesda reacted to the Rage 2 leak. Did you guys been paying attention to that?
It almost felt like that was their contingency plan because they knew something was going to leak, or it was planned all along, and they were just ready to do this because
they've been playing with it on the social media page. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Yeah. They planted Calvin in Canada.
I'm the same point. Yeah, vast majority is what I feel is common sense and stuff we knew. But let's get the addict in on this. What do you feel about the Walmart leak?
The Walmart league?
Yeah. True, not true, common sense.
I mean, no, I think 100% is true.
Yeah. Okay.
The only thing I think people get placeholders confused.
Yes.
Just because Final Fantasy is on there does not mean it's not going to get put in December of 31st, 2018. The majority of these games are going to be like that. Every game you think of is on Walmart that doesn't even have a release date. You could pre-order so many games at Walmart. You go over there right now, you could probably find a listing for Final Fantasy VII. So they put that on there to build hype. Not even really build hype to let customers know that they are selling that product.
Absolutely.
This is a question I have. And this would probably be best suited for like Matt Piscatella, somebody who understands like the retail pipeline. How early do these publishers and these companies have to tell these retailers about these games that these leaks come out so early? Like, do you really have to allocate shelf space that early? Like, it just like it doesn't make any sense.
They did this so everyone's talking about Walmart. This wasn't an accident.
Makes sense.
This is a publicity stunt that Walmart's one of those people that they walk around and they like, I say anything I want. What you gonna do? Not let me sell your game?
Yeah, exactly. They're not gonna take it away from them. So I mean,
that's like GameStop. Like GameStop, they're in that industry, so they have to be more professional. GameStop could ruin everyone's world, but they have to be more professional because they deal with these people on the regular. Like it actually talk to important people, not just the marketing person. Okay, I need this and I need this many of this. Like Walmart, it's like, yo, I could stomp on you. Like
Walmart's big.
Care.
Yep,
so what are you gonna do? Like, so you gonna potentially like just because they could literally come out and say this is coming out this day, this is coming out this day. They might get sued if they're in any kind of NDA. But at the end of the day, regardless how many people sue Walmart, they're not going to be like, yo, you can't sell my product because they need to get that money back.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that relationship needs to be intact, so we'll see. So, that's what I got. That's what the rest of the Lord's got. What about the second half of your point, Lord Sav?
Well, Sony announced how they were going to handle their E3 press conference. And it's interesting because...
Who's giggling?
Is that Attic giggling?
That's not like Attic giggling.
So... It's interesting because Sean Layden said that in lieu of their regular announcements where they just come on stage and announce brand new stuff that people aren't expecting, they're going to focus their press conference on 4 big games that they have coming up, which are Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, Spider-Man, and Death Stranding. So now this kind of brought the ire of people because obviously, fanboys on both sides start talking about, well, that means they got nothing left.
Shout out to Lord Tricks, though. He said, for the love of God, I hope they don't pull out their IKEA furniture again.
Yo! No, that's cool. Like, I got really jumped on Twitter, man. What's funny is like, it wasn't even that bad till Kitsmoot retweeted it. Then, oh my God.
They went crazy.
People sitting there like, I'll read you some of the tweets. People sitting there. Obviously, I can't read them all because this is ILP. But
it's ILP for the little Mother's Day.
Here's the thing: like people sitting there, and I hate that I can't bring up anything about about Sony without having Microsoft thrown into it. And it happens consistently every time. I know it's console war stuff, but I know people that claim that they're not in that console war stuff that be doing it too. So here, for instance, I said E3 for Sony looking disappointing. Actually, you know what? No, I can't share the screen, but I was like, E3 for Sony looking disappointing. Hope they have surprises, man. Because, and to me, that is what E3 is about. It's that surprise factor. It's that showing whatever you have factor. And like, look, like I get that people are like, I understand. I completely 100% agree. They've done enough to where they have bought them enough buy time to not have games. But they always announce stuff that comes out 3 years from now.
Right.
So right now,
you said Sony?
Yeah,
more like 5 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a 5-year plan. You looking at that's a financial commitment. Like you got longevity with them guys.
See, here's some of the stuff I had. Okay. Nintendo had E3 just for Zelda. Microsoft last year only announced one new game, Ori 2, and the rest were indie parties. I think Sony gets a pass after this first party output this generation. I can agree with that to a point.
Okay.
How you going to say that what Xbox will probably show Crackdown for the third time at E3 since 2014? Once again, like I said, bring up Xbox. And it's consistent. Like from PlayStation perspective, it's sure disappointing, but if the exact same lineup was on Xbox, it would be second coming. Once again, brought up Xbox. Like I feel like some of these people literally can't argue without bringing up another entity to argue with. It's like, look, I'm not saying that I'm disappointed. I'm not saying that I had nothing to do with the Xbox thing. I was just like, yo, I don't want to sit here and see 4 games talked about for an hour and a half.
All right, now let me ask you this, Larry, because this is definitely a very good point you're making, and a very big point of contention. You know, obviously we know Sony has been dominating the gen. Let's just keep it a buck, and they have the first party thing. So, you know, they seem to be taking a different approach, right? They seem to be saying it's going to be more of a deep dive with these 4. So the 4, let's reiterate, are going to be Death Stranding, Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, and The Last of Us 2, right? Then they're saying that there was definitely not going to be no new hardware shown, right? So I just want to clarify.
No, they haven't said anything about hardware. So
right,
that's the assumption.
Right. So no PS5, no VR stuff, none of that.
And I think it's completely what I think Rand is accurate. I think Rand's accurate.
It's over.
You out of control. Stop it. Continue. What did you say?
Let's be honest. Like, if you look at it from like a perspective of stuff that they've done,
right?
Next year they're going to announce these 4 games next year. People can say what they want. Ghost of Tsushima and Days Gone. There's a good chance those games come back to E3 again next year.
Okay.
Days Gone's probably going to get announced the release date and come out at the beginning of the year.
And that's the thing, though. Days Gone isn't in that 4.
Days Gone is not part of that 4. Yeah,
it's not part of that 4. So who knows when that's coming? I know Game Informer has a month of coverage, and we go see.
Me and Addict, we saw that behind closed doors.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, they've made improvements, but what'd you feel, Addict?
We saw the same demo, and
who here think
that nobody got a chance to touch? With no controller was involved in that. Yeah, fake Jake moving the fake controller, acting like it was an hour.
Out of a show of hands here, who thinks that they're going to show Last of Us again next year?
They can show that. They can show it every year until it come out.
I don't see Last of Us coming out till fall next year.
I don't see it coming out until PlayStation 5.
That's a possibility.
I can guarantee.
What do you think about
a cross-gen game?
Lord Fonz.
I think these 4 games. First of all, I just want to say that I think it's brilliant that they let the cat out of the bag early, because if this is all they show, then they don't have those high expectations from this. You know, hey, you know what else?
We told you.
I think they're gonna have a surprise though.
But
they're at least gonna have one surprise.
I listened to Sean Layden on that blogcast, and he said that look, these are the 4 games we're going to go in depth on for first party, but we're still going to talk about third party, and we're still going to have our indies, and we're going to have some announcements. He said so. Some announcements. We don't know what those announcements are.
Well, they're going to announce how much the PlayStation sold. We know that's going to be there.
I know, right? Yeah. Analytic.
It's to me, you know, with these 4 titles alone, with 3, I'm very excited for. Death Stranding, I'm still like, what the hell is going on? You know, after Throat Baby, I don't know what's going on.
No doubt. Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, finish your song, because I got a curious take on it too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very interesting. I think the realization is that whatever else new that they have in the pipeline are going to be PS5 titles, and they're not ready to talk about those just yet.
Thank you.
Bingo.
And that's it. I mean, right, so they're going to do deep dives on the games they know are coming. Some of these I think will be cross gen games, at least 2 of them. Spider-Man we're getting in September, so it's kind of weird that they put that as a deep dive. As opposed, I figured it'd be on the show floor, but to have a deep dive during the quote unquote conference for it, I don't know. I would figure that Days Gone would be there instead. So that's a little weird to me. But beyond that, yeah, I mean, again, they're gonna hold stuff close to their chest until they're ready to talk about their next hardware, and that's just it.
Nuffy, let's get Lord King on this. He had some laughter.
It's over.
It's trolling. Xbox trolling. Come on.
I find it absolutely hilarious because, listen, I love new hardware like anybody else, and I love when new hardware is debuted on the stage. And was I kind of looking forward in a weird, morbid way of Sony pushing out a PlayStation 5 on top of the necks of the people that just brought a Pro? Hells to the yes.
Oh my
so I want it. I know I could buy it, and I know it won't affect me if they just push the Pro to the side and tell you, here's the 5. We are here now. So, but I want to see the new games. I want that stuff. I want that excitement. I love the excitement with a new system. But the fact that they're not showing it,
Mhm.
it underscores exactly what they have in the treasure trove.
Mhm.
Maybe they do have a SOCOM for that next system. Maybe they do have those games that we want for a next system. Will this does E3 be lackluster for them? I don't really think so. Honestly, I think they're gonna show those games in a way
Yep.
because trust me when I tell you, their presentation is always king.
Off the
Mhm.
charts.
They're
Off the
gonna
charts.
show those games in a
Mhm.
way, and they're gonna set it up in a manner that's gonna make you walk away. They could show 3 games for their show and still win the show.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that feels like if you don't like that, that Last of Us feeling, like God of War feels like the exception because of the brutality and the character persona behind God of War.
Mhm.
But if you don't really like that way they make, The Last of Us and Uncharted, like, do you guys really think it's fair to point that like Sony just don't care? Like, we're gonna make this kind of game over and over again. Like, if you think about it, like big, like budgeted titles they make, that's all they've done. They've never went off the path.
I hear what you're saying. Like, I think the problem is that they're proven successful at dominating a lane that supposedly is not supposed to be profitable anymore, right? That single player cinematic story camera angle experience, right? That you may look at it and say, hey, you know what? It looks kind of similar to some of the other past titles, and I get that. But with the success of God of War and Last of Us, they have no inclination to stop that. That's a lane that they're winning, they're dominating, and that's solely theirs. Now, I will agree with you on this, though, Attic. I do feel that, listen, I think E3 is one of the greatest, spectacles, right? You get there, you get excited, you want to know what the company's gonna show, and to kind of know everything ahead of time, not everything, but the majority of what they're going to show ahead of time is a little disappointing to me sometimes, because you want that surprise, that wonder. You always wait, like Lord Solve knows, like you wait to the end of the show, and by the way, one last thing, you love those moments, right? So to hear that, okay, this is going to be it, no hardware, we're going to have our third party guys come out, we're going to have some surprises. Yeah, it kind of hurt just the inner wonder in me, because I kind of like that aspect. Is that your Fonz talking in the back?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I'll add on to that. But
go for it.
Doing this podcast, Iron Lords now, and you meeting a lot more people within industry and everything, and then some people who know people that know people, and you start to get leaks and stuff all the time.
Absolutely.
And it does kind of suck, but at the same time, it's like, give me that info. Give me that info.
No, listen. I'm with you on leaks. I get it. It's funny you brought that up. You read my mind, because that's gonna be the poll question later. But the whole thing is, I get that. You're completely right, Lord Fonz. I'm with you on that. That's gonna happen. All I'm saying is, I've never seen the company say, yo, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen. That's like Microsoft said, yo, you're gonna get this, and this,
and you're gonna like it.
And you're gonna like it, and don't worry about no new hardware. Yeah. Like, that's like, whoa.
You know what? That's that Sony swagger right there. They know they're on top. They're like, hey, this is what we got, like it or not.
Yes, that's the hubris that you was talking about.
Is this the hubris?
Yeah, but you know how it is. It's their turn.
I love when Strasser comes and he puts the bad mouth on somebody. Sony, you're going down.
Listen, I mean, if anyone, like Lord Fonz said, if anyone's in position to do it, it's them. I mean, they have the cards in their favor. The sales are in their favor. They're dominating the single player genre. Like Lord Academy may not agree with certain things the way they're handling this, but hey, I mean, listen. At the end of the day, we can't act like those games are not quality games either, though.
Those games are really good.
Those are solid games, y'all.
Really good games, generation-defining games.
At the end of the day, we know they're making stuff, but people attack me because I said, well, they're like, well, all their studios are making stuff. What more do you expect? I'm like, these are the same people who flipped out on Microsoft because all their studios and they weren't making new games. I'm like, look, like, is it wrong for me to like just want to be surprised at E3?
Same here, I'm with you. That's how I like being surprised.
I agree with the E3 thing. Like E3, that's what it is. That's that wonder, especially for guys, going over there too.
If you want to spend an hour and a half on one of the most iconic stages in the industry, do that on PSX. Don't
I hear you, Addict, but I think at the same time, I think this shows you that this is the end of this generation.
Yes.
Like I said, by 2020 you're going to get that PS5, and people that are saying 2021, 2022, you guys are delusional. It's coming out by
yeah, I disagree with that. Yep.
I'm even thinking November 2019. I really think it could be.
Yeah, you've been pushing that 2019 narrative hard.
If it's not a generational, like super generational leap, if it is a backwards compatible machine, I think they get away with fall 2019 because it's not this thing where it's like it creates enough distance between that and the Pro that people shouldn't feel shysted.
No, I just feel they're in such a commanding position. There's no need for them to even rush to 2019. It's like they can still wait.
There's people out there that are saying they're going to feel shafted if they bring it out before 2025.
Well, no one ever wants to hear a new generation.
PlayStation 3 era. That era is gone.
Exactly.
And that technology was really good at the time, and they squeezed out every drop out of them.
What we're going to start getting now is we're going to start getting these consoles coming out. No more true generational consoles. It's going to be upgrades because they're always going to be backwards compatible, to a certain degree to the one previous to it. And I think the Pro and the X will still be able to play some of these games that come out initially on the PS5.
You're getting into our later topic for Kickstarter.
Jay, Lord Fonzarelli, you said that, just taking by what you said, the previous generation, that can only be with Sony because Microsoft has shown you that they're going through their whole catalog of games that have released over since the OG systems.
Yeah.
So I believe, and this is just my opinion of it, being that Microsoft already has set that precedence going forward, I don't believe actually Sony does backwardly compatible at all.
Really? I think that'd be a huge mistake.
PS4?
I don't believe so because financially they can reskin those games to you and sell them on PlayStation Now. That will undercut PlayStation Now.
No. I think the PS4 games will be backwards compat, but I think PS Now it'll strictly be those PS2, PS3 titles that they're doling out now. I mean,
well, there are some PS4 titles on there, right? There's Knack.
Yeah, but honestly, I think at the end that's going to go away. It's hurting bad, man.
Here's the question, Fonz. We need to know. We need to get the information on. I'm trying to figure who we can talk to on the details of the Gaikai deal.
This is Mother's Day, and me and you are really good friends. And when that system come out, and they say there's no backward compatible because philosophy-wise, it's just, they don't believe in that. They actually told you nobody plays that. Our analytics say nobody goes backwards. We only gonna go forward. And if you want to play that, they got that guy that tells you if you want to play our stuff, that old stuff, it's the thing we got called PlayStation Now. And you can go play it right now. So I just want to revisit it when it comes back because I have no expectations for them to do that. When I sell my PlayStation 4, I'm selling it with all the games.
Okay, now with that PS Now, what is that running at? 720p on those PS4 games?
Yeah.
And that isn't going to do it for people with these 4K TVs and stuff. That's going to look like crap when you're playing the PS5 games. I mean, it's not going to do well because I sometimes try and get into these older games. Some of them are great. I can play through Dead Space and some franchises that are just excellent. But when you try that new game that came out on the 360 that you've never played before, and it just, oh man, I can't get into it. Like it just looks.
If you don't have nostalgia running behind you, don't play those old games.
For real.
Yeah, I think shout out to TF God in the chat. He said PS5 doesn't do BC backward compatible. They're done. He said he just marathon Bad Burnout Revenge. It's nice to play games from every gen and own them digitally, not streamed and locked to the internet.
I don't think they're done though. That's the thing. Like they have shown you they can do whatever they want to do.
Yep.
Like they're doing.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
They're playing single player games that supposedly, functionally, mentally, if you're saying it, it's not supposed to work, but they're working. 90-something million sold. Apparently, they don't care what nobody is saying.
They
almost got like a little Nintendo in them now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think it would be a mistake for them to do it, but at the same time, I think they could still get away with it because what they'll do is they'll change the narrative and be like, well, our thing is brand new. You can't. They'll turn around and say, you can't run those PS4 games on this because this is something totally different. It's so much more powerful, and people will buy into that marketing.
But it's x86. It's x86 though.
Right. But we know that, right?
Yeah.
the other 60 million people that buy PlayStations don't care about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't care about PS Now either, obviously.
So they'll resell you all of that stuff.
70 in the chat, hit those likes, y'all. Appreciate it.
So I can see them going both ways. I think it would be a mistake for them not to do it, but I could see them totally not doing it.
They'll probably instead of they'll rename PlayStation Now and PlayStation Again.
Shout out to Nicholas Graham. He represents that. He's like, hey, he doesn't play old games, maybe 1 or 2. He has no interest going back, but respect to Microsoft making it available. So he's kind of that contingent. Hey, if they don't do it, it don't bother him as much.
Look, games like Red Dead, look at that game came out and it was outselling new games on retail. Like, it might not be a big thing to me, but people that say it has no relevance whatsoever, they're delusional.
But Addict. But here's the difference. You had that Red Dead come out, and it's got that polish, that gloss on it. Yeah. You got that PS Now, and it's 720p dog crap. You know.
So you want them to just speed up their modem?
So
you want them to change their Ethernet?
They did that 4K update at launch for when the Red Dead 2 came over.
Oh no, I'm talking about
that's when it outsold everything, not when they did that patch later.
Oh, okay. It's still a great game.
When that game went on backwards compatible, it was like 7th on the charts, like a 10-year-old game.
Yeah, because you can't get that game on anything else to look any better than it does on Xbox.
I mean, look at perspectives like if GameStop is raising prices on 360 games, they consider it relevant.
It's interesting. This is an interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with
different
PS5.
philosophies. That's all.
Yeah, it's different philosophy. Let's see if they actually change that, and if they actually have the capability to implement it in the manner that Microsoft does. Because we
$100 tell me no.
Yeah, we know Microsoft definitely structured their own infrastructure around bringing your library for. That's been their MO. That's what we got, Lord Solver. You good? Everyone's good on that PS3.
Yeah,
I mean PS5 topic. We are going to move on. I'm up. Grandpa Nintendo back in the headlines again. The Nintendo Switch Online.
I don't think we can go one podcast without talking about Nintendo.
I hate the hate.
You're gonna hate next week, boy. Woo, you gonna hate next week.
I want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Lots of people there. Hit that like button if you will.
Thank you so much. So Grandpa Nintendo, they revealed the details of the highly anticipated Nintendo Switch Online. So basically, we're gonna go real quick.
Can I go first? Can I respond first after you?
Yes, I'll give you the first crack at
this. Go to sleep afterwards.
Yes. So pretty much, their premium online service is going to give you access to the online multiplayer, free NES games, support offline, and a dedicated mobile app, as well as the ability to save your data to the cloud. Something that Nintendo has not been offering. So we got some 3 price points. We got the 1 month for the $4, 3 months for the $8, and 12 months for the $20. So there's also a family membership option. It allows you Nintendo Switch up to 8 switches for about $35. And
you can get your family in on this crap. Come on in.
So for $35, it's gonna launch in September. We don't have a specific date. We know that the app is still in effect. It's going to be used for in-game chat with other players.
They doubled down on the app.
Shut up. You're making me laugh. Recognize multiplayer sessions. It's going to have special features for certain games, just like Splatoon 2. And the launch lineup of those NES games that are included are Ice Climber, the original Legend of Zelda, Mario Brothers, the trilogy, Donkey Kong, and so on. So that's what we know right now. As of right now, they've also made a statement on Virtual Console. Nintendo has confirmed that they do not plan to bring Virtual Console.
I told you.
Shut up. This is gonna be so
Ice Climber, I'm done.
Ice Climber with online play. With online play.
Ice Climber. I
got it. So let's break it down for the final thing. Again, when the online goes live, certain features will be locked behind the paywall. These include the online multiplayer.
Why are you laughing like you didn't know this?
I didn't. I do not listen to none of this stuff.
The things that will be locked behind the paywall will be the online multiplayer and, of course, the Nintendo Switch online mobile app. What will remain free of charge will be the eShop, managing your friends without messaging, without party chat, sharing screenshots to social media, parental control, and free software updates. So, Lord, this day has arrived.
Yes.
We waited a whole year for this.
Here we go.
Lord,
this is going to be our best episode ever.
What do you feel about Nintendo's online service announcement?
It's $20. Anyone that's saying they ain't gonna buy it's a bunch of lies. They're lying and they're exposed.
Switch game.
So look, if I want to play Super Smash Brothers, I'm gonna pay $20. You guys be acting like you don't go to McDonald's and spend $20. Like, shut up. Like look, does the features are whack? Yeah, was now of the cost that the services cost for. If you want that product that like Microsoft and Sony got, then you gotta pay $60 a year. If not, go to the poor man's game and get the $20 one. So
Did you just pull a me? Did you just pull a me? Yo, listen, I want tweet it out now. Tweet it out now. Get everybody in this room now. Get them in here now. Get them in here now. Call your friends. Call a friend. Get them in. Get them. Addict just pulled a me. I want you to understand, he just went so premium on you. He just went to the dollar sign on you. He just finished telling you, you spend $20 at McDonald's. I don't want to hear that crap. He just told you, if you ain't about this, your pockets are looking funny. It is on today. This is the topic. Sorry, Addict, for stepping on your toes. I'm going to back out. I'm going to bring up the rear on this one. Yeah. Let us go, Addict.
Addict has spoken and surprised us. I'm shocked at Addict's response right now.
I'm loving this new Addict. I love this Addict. I love this Addict.
Let me bring it, Fonzie. I got you, but I want to get it to Solve. I need Solve right now. I need it because this is for us. This is what I said. We're gonna get abused. I need to speak to my Switch brethren.
You know what's funny? I gotta agree with Addict. Like, you know what? And I said this when
now the world is gonna end. I have to leave before the world ends. I'll talk to you guys later. I don't think me and this dude have agreed on one topic since he came to this podcast.
But I have to. It's $20. Like, we already knew it was gonna be $20, right? And the funny thing is that even like the family plan makes it even more appealing. Like, if you break it down,
what are you appealing for?
It's like $2 and change per person. Like, it's like $2.50 per person or something like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, listen, whatever it is. For $20, listen, I'll go to the ends of the earth with them for $20. Who cares? We'll sit here, we'll talk about it, we'll analyze it, but I can't be mad at them. You know, I can't be mad. I can't be mad at them. I cannot.
Well, I am shocked.
Now, that what it does also, though, it gives them leeway to increase the price as they add services. Right? It gives them that leeway and still say they're cheaper than everybody else. So whether they'll do that or not, I have no idea. But it does give them that room to maneuver and do that stuff. But I mean, honestly, like, you know, the stuff, the fact that the cloud stuff is behind a paywall and everyone else's is free, it's $20. Again,
is that Microsoft Cloud? Is that
it should be. If it is, it would be.
It probably is, right? I think so, because Banjo Kazooie is down with them. It might be Microsoft Cloud.
It could be. It could be Azure running around in the back of the Switch. Azure. Yeah. So listen. Listen. Whatever it is, they're gonna be things we like about it, things we don't like about it. I'm not a fan of the app. I hope at some point they fix it.
What about that no messaging and no party chat?
God. Well, again, $20. I mean, you know, a family bucket at KFC costs you more.
Oh my God! Here we go with this premium talk. If you do not get everybody into this chat watching this podcast today, please call a friend and tell them it is going down.
Shout out to Dash Feeder in the chat. They need proper voice chat without all these cables and add-ons that make you look like a Ghostbuster.
Look, at the end of the day, everyone that's complaining about this, everyone that's having issues with this, we all know you're gonna be on Discord talking. We ain't even using that service.
Daddy's in the building.
Oh, you already know, David.
Yes, sir.
Little buddy has entered the realm real quick.
Yes, this is what needs to be talked about here. We got Jay Fonzarelli up next. The Lord is about to speak on it. Let me tell you, we got 71 people in here. I swear, hit those likes. It's about to get. I'm going to go in on
He's putting out way too much energy.
These dudes is about to get it because I waited for this day so long. Oh,
this is Lord King's moment. Before we give it to Lord King's gonna anchor this thing because we know this is moment. Lord Bloody, I know. Shout out to the Saltiest, the crew, Smash Podcast, the crew. Always good to hear you, see you, and glad to have you in the realm on Mother's Day, which is good. Now, my question: now, obviously, you've heard about the Nintendo Online service.
Yeah, I've heard.
What are your feelings on said announcement?
Well, I have mixed feelings about it, and I've come out on this because we actually recently talked about this over with the GRG crew. So
shout out to GRG.
Yeah. So what happened was my thing was, while the online is a good thing for them getting set up and trying to bring this over to the Switch and trying to get that online infrastructure, the fact that they're doubling down on the app, they don't have any sort of dedication with the Switch, makes it hard to use. That's the worst thing. And with the app, a lot of people are saying that one, it's already bad because of the fact that it's a battery killer for your phone, because of the fact that it consistently drains really quickly and it constantly locks, so it only adds more issues. While the price being, as everyone's been putting it, is a cheap price, that's great and all, but the features that are coming with it, while some of them are useful, the big thing that a lot of people have an issue with is the gripe of the online cloud saves. And I stated that with the online cloud saves, while this is being added as a premium feature with the paid subscription, it shouldn't be, because the fact that, one, you already got to think that the Switch already has a designated amount of space and storage on it that's already low. And you have to think that physical games take a large amount of that storage. Even with that in SD cards and them being as cheap as they are, being able to expand, that's still another physical aspect that has to save that data. So if anything happens to that SD card and everything gets corrupted, you're shit out of luck. Yes. So you have to pay for cloud saves, while not being most saves don't take up a large amount of data. The fact that you have to pay to get those cloud saves is kind of ridiculous.
Your cloud saves locked behind a paywall or bloody. Is what you
it is, and you got to think that with Switch, it's in a unique spot because you think cloud saves are already, whether you're gold or not, is already given for Xbox, because of the fact that they have the internal hard drives and it's saved there, as well as it has a backup cloud save. Should anything happen to your physical, it reverts to a previous cloud save. The PlayStation works a little bit differently, though theirs is also part of their paid PSN. The way that theirs works is they have more control over their cloud saves, because they can manually back up any physical saves on the console to the cloud. And should they ever delete,
that's still not an excuse, though.
No.
If you're going to go at one, you're not going to not go at the other.
No, addict. Hang on. I said it's a unique spot because of the fact that they have a little bit more. Yeah. I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying it's in a different spot compared to what Xbox does. But the fact is that for Nintendo, having to pay for these cloud saves is one of the big issues. While the price is fair for the year, with $20 for a single person, on what was it, 30 or 40 for a family of 8
for 7.
For 7, that's not bad at all. That's not a bad price. But the fact is, how much did they state that was going to be for the cloud save data that is going to be unlocked? And is that shared between the family? Because if you're using 7 people, even if it's something like 32 gigs, depending on how many games are playing,
going to go by,
it's going to go through.
Right.
It's going to go by account, individual accounts. It's not going to go by like one shared file. Like it said on there for up to 7 other accounts.
Right.
But that's the thing, is they say up to 7 other accounts, but they didn't clarify, because if you think about how the Switch already works, even though you have separate accounts, it is all still saved to the same shared device as well as same shared SD card. They haven't clarified how
they haven't clarified it. That information has not come out yet, so no one knows exactly with that. I hear you. Now, my question to you, Lord Bloody, I know you made some great points. My question to you, though, is in reference to the cloud saves, because we know prior to this, you know, there was no mention of it. And we know a lot of people are Switch owners who were clamoring to Nintendo, please, please, please give us cloud saves, please give us. And a lot of people have bricked their systems. You know, a lot of people were actually surprised that they actually are going to support this service and have this service. Now, a lot of people also surprised that this is behind the paywall. That, you know, they're gonna have to wait until September, hopefully, that their systems don't break. So, in that respect, do you at least respect that they've got the actual feature, or that doesn't impress you?
No, it's a good thing that they got the feature. It really is, because it shows that they are trying to make it more appealing, as well as to be able to take care.
You mean they're trying to make the 21st century?
Yes, they are trying to make it to the 21st century, but you know, it's a good thing they had the feature.
Had it. Like what?
Like, yeah, well, like Nintendo's always been very iffy with their online services, and this kind of goes not just beyond Nintendo. This is most Japanese companies with their online, is that they're very nuanced in the way that they use their online system, because it's still very archaic. Look at Dragon Ball Z online, as well as look at Monster Hunter online. I mean, Nintendo's still using friend codes, and those are more ridiculous than a lot of other things.
They've got Twitter and Facebook integration, buddy.
Yeah,
they're trying to step it up, man.
I know they are trying to step it up, but I'm just saying that if you look at them, they're very nuanced and archaic in the way that they have their online set up for a lot of.
I know 7 is more advanced than Nintendo.
Nice
is.
To them, bloody right now.
All right, let's get.
You got the little bloody. You don't even got because Jay Fonzarelli's up. You don't got the. Yeah, you don't got you got the soft gloves on. You ain't got the bloody knuckles out for them. I see how you holding their hand and walking them down the corridor. I'm going to play them.
No, I'm just saying that
they're skipping too. You can't forget that.
Yeah, you hear the Love Fest addict. He actually came in here and told you. He gave you the nuances of how their online structure is nuanced. That's a way of telling you. I'm gonna tell you what they're telling you. Let Jay Fonzarelli get it today.
Lord, you have been very patient. I saw your comment in the chat. You're about to kill this topic. The floor is yours.
Kill it.
All right. I got that. Look, man, I got that ice climber warmed up.
You got it ready. We're gonna go online, baby.
Hey, send me that.
We're gonna play online.
Let me get you my social security.
And you might as well send me your phone number too, because we're gonna need that to chat. Okay. So send me all your info. I'll
need a photo ID.
Oh. So my question for Nintendo is this: what are we paying for? This seems like the same stuff we've been using for years. Nintendo, what is this $20 for? Because you ain't got party chat, you ain't got regular, you got friend codes still. Like, what are we doing in 2018? What are we doing?
The privilege of doing it on their console.
Lord Fonzarelli, are you purchasing this?
The privilege to play on the Switch.
Lord Fonzarelli, are you purchasing?
Hell no, I ain't purchasing.
Hey, Fonzarelli.
Hey, here's the thing.
Fonzarelli.
Yeah, what's up?
Are you gonna? Do you have a Switch?
Hell no, I ain't.
Fonzarelli.
Addict coming for the exposing?
Hey, Fonzarelli.
Go ahead.
If you had a Switch, would you buy Super Smash Brothers?
If I had a Switch in the household, my son would be playing Super Smash Brothers.
Then you lying, because you'd buy him one.
But here's the thing. What are we paying for though? Like now,
you're paying for your kids' happiness.
He's been playing on that 2DS for a while, and he plays with friends online and stuff. And I'm just thinking to myself, what is the difference now? What are you giving us for $20 a year?
The privilege,
the privilege of now playing online with the same damn services they've been giving you, which has been crap since day one.
To be fair, and to be like, a lot of this stuff is just verbiage, is the way they say it too. Because okay, so PlayStation or Xbox doesn't specifically say that any of this stuff is included in your Xbox Live subscription. Obviously, that goes to a lot of different things. It covers like the cloud saving stuff isn't free. They just don't tell you where the money's coming from. They don't tell you, but somewhere in that money that you give them monthly to access Xbox Live, you're paying for that, right? So Nintendo just stupidly decided to tell you, yeah, you're specifically getting this because of this. They could have very easily charge you $20, not mention that, and you think it was free.
Mm-hmm. And you know what I noticed too, and this goes for all podcasts. It's not just Iron Lords.
Go for it.
Anytime Nintendo is brought up, I see those numbers dip on the viewer count, and then every few minutes it comes back up because they're coming back.
Still strong, baby. We're still 70 strong.
They know what's about to happen.
Yeah, but you notice they keep coming back, and they're like, "Are they done?
Are they done?"
With us in particular, with us in particular, it works because it's always me incognito
fighting the good
bigging
fight.
it up, fighting the good fight, and then you have these two coming bringing up the rear.
Yo, it's nah. Don't even paint me with that brush. Don't even paint me with that brush. I don't even want that brush you using. The brush you using, they can sell you a turd and shining up, and you be like, yo, let me get that shined up turd. Nah, I'm not about that shined up turd.
I just want to say, shout out to Keep Tommy, Switch Gang Unite. He also had a good question though. He says, "Do you think that if you lose your subscription, do you lose your cloud saves?"
It's over. I got you, Chief Tommy. I got you, Chief Tommy. I got you, Chief Tommy. I got you.
If that happens, oh man,
I got you, Chief Tommy.
Let him finish up his thought.
I think this is further proof that the Switch is a handheld, people, and not a console. That's why they're not having this chat. They're not having headsets. They're not doing any of that regular consoles have. Period. This thing, and that's why the Switch is doing so well, is because it is a handheld. Everybody I know that has bought it tells me, "Oh, I bought it because I can play on the go."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is my primary function, but it's interesting. Lord King, you have been patient. You have waited. You're ready. The floor is yours. Grandpa Nintendo is at your mercy.
Oh no! Waited for this day. To step on this stage to say exactly what I'm about to say. This is when success goes to your head. This is when keeping it real goes absolutely wrong. It has gone wrong. It has gone so wrong. It has gone so left. These dudes hoped out and held out hope. Nah, King, they're going to have Virtual Console, King. It's coming, King. Just me, King, don't you worry. Nintendo's never done us bad, King.
That does kind of sound like Lord Cognito, doesn't it?
Let me tell you something right now. I got all those little mini systems that they dropped out. They dropped out all those little mini systems. I got it, and I knew you wasn't getting Virtual Console because they're making a ton of money off of those little mini consoles. Yeah. So now that we ain't getting that, we getting Ice Climber Deluxe. Did they say Ice Climber Deluxe? Yes, they did. Yo, what they gonna do? Keep the same graphics and add a buddy.
With online play,
Yo, that's what I said. They adding an online buddy through the app. Now check this out. You see what I got right here? I've been waiting for this to use this to show you. This is what you need to add to your phone, right? So that you can play on their thing. But make sure that you have this to add to that, because the power of your phone is going to go down. And make sure you don't have a limit on your data cap, because you will actually be paying over $500. All right, you want to play their games, you're going to have a big budget. So they told you $20, but technically it's not $20. It's not $20, and they told you, yo, for $35, you could bring 7 more fools in on this. They want the world to hate you. They want you to team up with 6 other dudes so they can hate you for bringing them in on cloud save.
Hey, speaking of that team up thing,
that's funny.
You know, I gotta bring it up, man. Who gonna let me mooch off their family?
I got you, man.
Yo,
I got you, bro.
Who in this world gonna tell you, yo, you gotta pay for these cloud saves? Bruh! Yo, so if you're not up to par on your bill that month, you can't access your last save point. You gotta play Castlevania from the beginning because you couldn't pay that $4 for the month.
Hey, can you imagine that phone call to Nintendo? That one guy, hey, I can't afford the bill this month, but can I please play Ice
Can I
Cold?
please? I was at the last boss. Yo,
It will be there for you next week.
I'll get you
this
next
is
month.
the best way in how to not do internet. If they could not mess it up any further than what they was doing, and I told them they are going to completely whiff on this. They're gonna hit their head with the bat. It's like Barry Bonds stepped up to the plate and he threw the pitch and he swung, he missed and hit himself with the bat and fell asleep. This is what happens. Yo, I'm so happy it happened to them. I'm so happy it happened to them. You know why? Because I'm sick and tired of every week they putting out the old regurgitated turds and shining them up, talking about, yo, check out this new turd. It ain't new. It's the same old turd and it smells the same old way. Give me new games. Give me new games with new functionalities. Could you please get it up to the 20th century, 21st century? Could you please get this system up to par? This system is so below the boards. I'm glad they hacked it. I'm glad that they cannot fix it. I'm glad that they got to give you a new Switch with some updated graphics and some more memory, and maybe you don't need a cloud save for $20. I know, I couldn't wait. I'm sorry. I'm done.
Tell me how you really feel, King.
I'm done.
I'll end this.
Look, at the end of the day, you're still buying this shit.
No, yo, I can guarantee you I won't buy that. He know for a fact I won't buy it.
Lord Cognito, when we sit there,
when that Amiibo plan come out, that Amiibo plan watch.
Here's the thing. He better stay away from Super Smash Brothers. Because I guarantee they ain't gonna be no Amiibo to help you from the ass whooping you're gonna get from.
You know it'd be nice if you was actually making it out to E3. You could be actually there, and I can bust your butt on deck while you there.
Oh my God. Anyway, let me just wrap this thing up, man. Yeah, very, very lukewarm experience for me reading this stuff. The lack of messaging,
You said lukewarm?
Yeah, I mean the price.
No, that was ice cold, bro. Don't even lukewarm that. You've had your say, King. You don't know. You do not get to lukewarm that. That is ice say. Oh, yeah. You know what? You are right. You're right. Who am I to tell you what temperature your water is?
If I like my stale food, I like my stale food.
There it is. I'm sorry. I do apologize for trying to give you my opinion and say it's yours. I'm so sorry.
The Lord citizen in chat. No, that's okay. The whole thing is, look, man, the price point, cool. That's nice. I mean, we kind of had the writing on the wall. Shout out to Nick Tendo and Saltiest Gamer. They had a great podcast talking about this subject, and it's disappointing. There's no getting around it. At the end of the day,
this is damage control, folks.
Shut up. Listen, it's very disappointing. You know, the price point is good, but it's just disappointing for the services. We waited a whole year to not have messaging and voice chat and to still be locked behind that stupid app. Unacceptable. Don't like that aspect. And as far as just the flexibility of not having the app, and only thing I'm hoping on, and we'll get this into next week's show, I'll get into my theories of what's going on, is that there is an alternative method of going on. Yo, shout out to Jay Charles in the chat for this $2 for stopping.
Shut up.
I'm making it right now. You ain't gotta donate no more.
That is awesome.
Quick question though.
What?
Super Smash Brothers.
What about Super Smash? I'm getting that day one.
Yeah. No, who is buying this whack this online to play Super Smash Brothers online?
I'm gonna have to buy it. I have no choice. But at the end of the day, it's very disappointing. Like I said, we waited that length of time, and this is what we got, and it's just an antiquated thing, and just they refuse. It's like Lord King said. It's like them hitting their own self with their own bat in the face. They're winning, and there's no reason for this, and that's the part that's disheartening. So that's all I got. I know Fonz is ready for us to leave. Yes. So we will move on. Lord Addict, a certain DLC has dropped for Destiny.
So Warmind came out. Mm-hmm. It was kind of disappointing, but I feel like it was a good direction and the right direction that Destiny needs to go. So I want to bring it to the table and speak with the Lords about it. Do you think it was enough to keep people to go into the expansion in September, or do you think that they might have lost because they didn't have a really good out into the next one?
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's start it off with who's actually played the DLC first. Anybody in the panel has played? I'm assuming Fonzarelli no. I'm assuming Bloody no.
That's correct. I was watching my roommate play it.
Okay, Lord King, your hands up. Look in.
Yes,
Yes.
I'm here.
Yes.
All right, yo, so I love it. Like I said, I listened to your flashpoints, and y'all were going into the nuances of the game and what to expect in the patch notes and stuff like that. So I was pretty much abreast to it, and when I jumped back into it, I've been away from it for so long that it felt new and fresh. But immediately in playing the game, like Lord Fonzarelli was saying, he didn't like really the guns that were available inside Halo. And the guns that are available in this game and the reworked exotics and stuff like that, it really shines through. They know, if they don't know story, if their story is so small and they don't really have a real giant lore outside of the books or outside of the grimoires and stuff like that, they do know gameplay. They do know aesthetics, the way the world looks, the way the enemies move. They know that, and what they do it well. And jumping back in, I love how the exotics feels. I love the masterworks of it. I got to give a shout out to Lord Chris, because Lord Chris, actually, he's a hardcore game. Like I was calling him Lord Adderall in the beginning, and he's a hardcore gamer, and he really plays Destiny. He's really enthusiastic. I gauge how the community sees the game by the team that's inside the chat with us, and these guys are losing their mind with the new lighting on certain parts of the boards, the new strikes, the enemies, they can't change it too much fundamentally, but they can fix some of the things that were broken that people was complaining about. The game is faster. The game plays a little bit more solidly. The exotics feel like exotics. There's more hardcore stuff to do. If you weren't at a certain level, you wasn't finishing a strike. So, to be honest with you, they did what you guys complained about, what we complained about. They tried to fix it as best as possible, and I see it. And I told them, I said, a lot of people are complaining that, this right here, it didn't feel like much. Listen, the first paid for DLCs that you pay for in that package are really small bites. Right? And the big one is the one that they're going to announce later, and that's going to come, and that's going to be like a Taken King type of thing. And that's the one that's going to have a lot of change into it, and that's the one that's going to usher you into going into Destiny 3. So this one felt very substantial. It felt like a step in the right direction. Will I be back in the raids? Yes. I kind of felt FOMO right now when you was talking about Lord Sinister and y'all was in there, and Lord Sinister did ask me, shout out to Lord Sinister, he did ask me did I want to help up get my light level up so I can get right, but I was going to bed, I work at night. So I definitely wanted to be there, and I felt FOMO because I'm like, man, they had so much fun in the raid, and I want to know what it looks like, and I want to know these things. So am I excited to play it? Yes. Is PUBG pulling at my legs? Yes, it is. But at the same time, I got a squad that's over there, and I can't deny the fact that they took a step in the right direction. I did not feel buyer's remorse like anybody else. I felt,
let me ask you a quick question before I pass it off. Now, what do you say, Lord King, to the people who will say, I know Bloody and Fonz got their guns ready. What do you say to the people who say, look, got disappointed with the game since the launch. I felt, cheated, robbed, or whatever. And at the end of the day, that they shouldn't have to wait to, for this game to improve after all the mistakes of Destiny 1. And also with the fact that, let's be honest, in September, we're going to have to pay for, even if all those changes do happen, right? And it's the game that we want ultimately in Destiny 2, and it's that in that Taken King style expansion. What do you feel to the people who say, hey, but you're gonna have to pay for that, and I'm not willing to do that, and they're finessing us? Like, what do you say to that contingent?
I'm gonna tell you this: they're a company. They're a company that makes money. They told you in the beginning, before you even purchased the game, everything blew up. You didn't have anything. Only thing that you could bring was your face. So the fact of the matter is, if you felt that you was entitled to anything, you are entitled to nothing. If you don't choose to purchase it, do not purchase it. I will be purchasing that, sir. I do believe in Destiny. I do believe in what they're promising. They're promising that they're going to try hard. They're promising that they're going to listen to the community and they're going to push forward because they are trying. They could have folded up their tent and they could have said, "The hell with you guys. We made our bread." But they're not. They're actually digging in, and they're telling you
they made a lot of bread in 2017. It was definitely they made a lot of bread.
Yeah, so they are giving you what you asked for. I'm sorry, I can't walk away from this after playing with a couple of my friends. I can't walk away from this saying that I feel with this DLC, because I actually like this DLC opposed to Osiris. I thought Osiris was a little flashy, not too much substance. I thought this had more substance, less flash.
All right, fair enough. I want to get the guest in on this. I know I had Fonz on last night with on the Brap rant. We had a good one on this, but I also want to get Bloody, because Bloody's he be going hard, man. Bloody has some great points. Shout out to Bloody Smash Podcast and his appearances on the Salty's Gaming Podcast. So, Bloody, what's your feeling of what you've seen on Warmind? What's your impression of Destiny right now? Where are you at with this whole thing?
Okay, from what I've seen, I do understand where King is. They did do a much better understanding of the story. However, while they do have an idea of a better direction, it shouldn't be this long. And I'm going to point out this, as Cognito pointed out, the first time when Destiny 1 came out, it was something unique. It had a lot of flaws, but it had potential. And we saw that grow over 3 years.
Facts.
But each time we had to pay for an expansion to see those improvements. Destiny 2 was the definition of an inch deep and a mile wide. While the refinements to the gameplay were what we wanted, the content was not there. It was not substantial enough. There was no reason to grind or anything else. The raid wall had very little afterwards because of the fact that if you had the clans, they made it very, very casual friendly, because they made it so you don't have to do anything. You can get free stuff for having other people do it. That takes away from the aspect of doing it, as well as with them have already solidifying and making everything set perks.
The casual
that it takes away from the looking for the gun that you want to get with the right perks that you want for that weapon. It took away a lot of the aspects that people chase. There was nothing there. Curse of Osiris was the first expansion that was what, $15, $20 at the time, and it didn't add much. It just was a little bit of a story that completely fell off with one of the biggest characters in the lore, because of the fact that Osiris had so much buildup for 4 years of how important he was, and we saw him for what, all of 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
And saw nothing but these memories or flashes of Osiris or whatever the hell he was called, and then saw him once for 5 seconds at the end to talk to Okora, and then left. That's it. We don't see him at the tower. We don't see anything else. He's just gone. Then you had to pay. NPC. Yeah, he wasn't an NPC. And if you wanted the ghost shell of Sagira, you had to go through microtransactions to get that ghost shell. You didn't get anything for doing the content. The weapons themselves that were a part of the lighthouse were heavily grinded, that were nothing but reskins with just some added wires to make it look vexing. It was very nothing. And now we come again 4 or 5 months later with what they did right now with Warmind. One, the some people don't like the name because of the fact that you look at all the others, very cool names. Dark Below, the Rise of Iron, you had the Taken King, House of Wolves, you had Curse of Osiris, and then you have a single worded expansion with Warmind. A lot of people wanted to be Gods of Mars because that made it so much more concerning on what tied into the lore. Now, with that, they brought in the fact that, one, this is another DLC that just used reskin enemies because of the fact that they keep bringing the goddamn hive back. Why is the hive?
You don't like the snowy hive, Bloody?
The ice hive is a cool concept. Why the fuck do we have to go through 7 expansions with the same goddamn enemy in every single one? Because the hive are always there, just like the fallen are. In every expansion, even if it's not about them, they're still goddamn there. Why don't they do anything unique? We saw what they did with the Taken, which were just the same enemies, which just made black and white gooey and had different powers. That's it. They haven't done anything unique. They haven't changed anything. The fact is, too, that I brought up, what we're seeing right now with Warmind and what we saw with Curse of Osiris was meant to be a part of the game 5 years ago when it originally was written. They cut it up and put it on the shelf for nearly 5 years. This is 5-year-old DLC.
Tell them why you mad.
Because of the fact that no, I'm mad because here's the thing. When I first played
This
Destiny,
is the knuckles I needed on that Nintendo though.
The reason I'm mad is because I enjoyed Destiny. I did. I stuck through it through vanilla, through the year one when it was the darkest days, and saw the improvements in Taken King, and then saw when Rise of Iron came out, it was in the perfect spot. Right amount of content, right amount of reward, enough to grind for it, and kept you going. But what we got in Destiny 2 was such a major step down. I'm not going to do another 3 years of iteration to get it back to where it should have been in the first place, and then add the content. Look at the raids that they've added. They're small, short raid layers.
Raid layers. One major. Lord Attic is not a fan.
But the fact that, yes, I get it's a trilogy all explaining about Callus and the Leviathan. The lore about Callus is great. I have the collector's edition with the book about that. Why is the fact that everything have to go back there if it doesn't necessarily have an aspect to the expansion? Like each expansion before had their own dedicated raid that makes sense to their story.
Talk, bloody. Let's go.
Because of the fact that look at Oryx and look at Crota. That all tied to this expansion that it came out.
I'm sorry, whoever came up with raid layers to take over layers, they need to get fired.
Yes, and a lot of
did get fired already though.
and this is what I'm saying is that you're telling me in a studio of over 900 because it's 300 at Bungie and they're using 3 separate studios to work on this. You're telling me during the 2 years because they had to push back Destiny 2 because when Destiny 2 launched, that was actually supposed to be their next expansion because Rise of Iron was supposed to be their spring expansion. Right after Taken King was supposed to be Rise of Iron to fill in that time gap before Destiny 2 came out when Rise of Iron actually launched. But because of the fact that they had to do another reset, like they did with the first game, and asked Activision to let them take another year to do it, that's why we got such a soft content launch with them bringing back the what was it, the wave mode there in
what you call it. I know you're talking about.
And right after Taken King, and we had those 6 months that were very light up until Rise of Iron.
Correct.
And then Rise of Iron had a massive content drop.
Not to mention what happened to the darkness?
Yeah, exactly. They said they had no idea what the darkness
shout out
is.
To Dealer in the chat. He said, shout out to Alfie. Destiny hasn't always been trash. Dealer, you can stop misbehaving in here.
What up, Dealer?
Dealer, my man.
Dealer, you're crazy. But the thing is, and this is what's the most is one, not only that is that the fact that they took out the darkness because they had no idea what it was, is the fact that they have shown with these 2 expansions that they are not capable of putting out enough content in a short period of time without making just reskins and using already made areas. They made 2 small areas that they can make use. They kept highly talking about the Infinite Force and Force of Osiris being this big procedurally generated area that and you use it twice in the story.
Yep. And you can't use it after the story was complete.
Dude, that would have been the perfect place for the raid. That would have been the perfect place.
It would have been. It would have been, as well as the fact that the only time they use it is on certain patrols, and then they stated that they have these really hard patrols that are going to be there in the Court of Oryx there on Mercury, and it was completely unworth the time that you put into it.
No, you're preaching right now.
It's the fact that they've shown that while they have an idea and that they repeat that they're listening, but they keep making the goddamn same mistakes over and over again.
Right. And where you're right, Lord Bloody, and first of all, thank you. You drop bombs, straight fire. And where you're right is because at this point, how can they ask the community to forgive them after the mistakes of Destiny 1, like you said, where they had the game in a state towards the end by, you figure, Taken King / Rise of Iron, from a reward standpoint, from a grind standpoint, from a time investment standpoint, things and systems were in place that made the game worth it. And to have Destiny 2 launch in such a progressive, casual state,
the part that
features that were missing.
The part that annoys me the most is it's like I said, when you can ask Lord Cognito, the moment the game launched, and I played like 2 days of it, I was like, yo, all the stuff missing from Destiny 1, they're going to make a big deal when they bring it back into Destiny 2, like it's new, like it hasn't been around. Like,
exactly.
Why
That's
did they
exactly
spend
what they
20
did.
minutes of that stream talking about public matches? You did the same thing last year. Like,
yeah, look, and here's the best part about that is when they did their spring roadmap, when they talked back in April, and they said, look, guys, private matches coming back, 6v6 coming back. It's like, what the hell were you thinking? That's what we had originally. I understand the 4v4 making things tactical, but it slows down.
No,
the PvP in such a way.
It wasn't tactical at all, bro. That 4v4 was trash. Basically, it was just
it's trash because of the fact that they made the maps too large to fit 4v4. They were made for 6v6. The only way that 4v4 mattered was in Trials because it helped out to even with the 3v3s on some of the maps. But as for everything else, it did not do anything, as well as with them already increasing the TTK and making two weapons that were dominant enough to bypass that and hit hard enough and kill fast enough that it made the PvP useful.
Here's the thing, Bloody. You've talked so much. You've basically, put out there like almost every single problem there with, Destiny 2. I could only add a couple of things here. Like, I don't know if this stuff has been changed because I stopped playing a few months back, but I will say some of the things that really bothered me was who told them in the first place that we wanted the weapon slots changed from primary, secondary, and heavy slot?
No one.
Nobody, right? And then, when they took away the fact that we had legendary drops with different roles, and they took that away, so the grind wasn't there anymore. That's one of the things that really pissed me off, because we always looked for that god roll in Destiny 1. And that was one of the top reasons why I used to love to play Strike. And they totally made strikes irrelevant in Destiny 2 for me.
Yes, they did.
And they also took away the simple ability to choose the strike you want to play.
Yes.
Just ridiculous stuff like that made me walk away.
And I'm glad you brought that up, especially with the fact that I touched on is the set rules, because of the fact that all the newer weapons, just being reskins of guns that we already have, are having some of the same set roles. They're just very cosmetically different. If you look at what happened with Destiny 1, with each of the expansions, their guns were different because they matched the aesthetics of the expansion they came from, but they also had different perks. Look at Vision of Confluence, the god tier scout rifle of Volta Glass. Then you look at Fang of Ute from Crota's raid, and that was a faster firing. It had full auto. It was significantly different.
It wasn't even about the raid guns, though. It was about the strike weapons, like the Grasp of Malik. And
the strike loot they made has been very lackluster. And here's the worst: like, I get that they reworked the exotics. The exotic guns, good step. The changes that they made have helped to improve those weapons. However, the fact that now they made ornaments, you have to first earn the ornament, then you have to go through these long processes of trying to unlock them by doing some sort of long grinding task that makes no sense when you already grinded to just get it. As well as the fact that the masterwork system that they have in place doesn't do much to add to the.
Hold on, let me jump in. My power came back. Sorry, I had to jump out. All right, here's the deal. That Masterwork stuff is actually not true, because what it is the Masterworks do give you a tremendous gameplay benefit, which is, one, it creates orb creation with multi-kills. Then you also get armor resistance based on the subclass and your configurability with the actual stats. So say, for example, an armor piece has recovery or mobility, you can actually configure it with the Masterwork. I'm not saying that these are, oh my God, game changing. I'm not trying to say that, but I will say offensively, if you have a Masterwork, that's why like having a legendary Masterwork was a huge advantage, because if I had my Better Devils Masterwork or my name was Midnight and I'm getting multiple kills, I'm generating orbs to create my super which actually creates more offense. Which was one of the problems. Wait, hold on 1 second. That was with the Destiny 2 vanilla. The cooldowns were so slow. Getting your grenades and your supers were so slow. Everything was neutered almost to cater to a PvP crowd for the sake of balance.
Because they ruined that power fantasy.
Exactly. And that's what Destiny is about. Destiny is about that power fantasy, feeling like a guardian, getting your super, doing things. And they were so hell-bent on casualizing things and making it easier to get difficult things, removing the grind, and then also that separation from PvE to PvP, right?
Well, the grind was still there with going after this masterwork stuff, right? But this masterwork stuff, to me, it wasn't as satisfying.
I agree, completely agree.
You got Nicholas Graham in the chat here saying God rolls meant they would have to balance more, which is something they didn't want to do for PvP. And he's right, but at the same time, we have the same issue with Masterworks. Right. So, I mean, there's always going to be balancing issues. And that's the one thing about MMOs that you can never really fix between PvE and PvP. Right. That's why I say that it should always be separate.
Here's the last point I'm going to make on it, and I'll give it to you, Bloody, because I know you want to talk. The thing is, they coming into Destiny 2, right? There seems to be a conscious decision that we made, because Destiny 1 and I had this conversation with Kai Batsu before. We have to admit, as fun as Destiny 1 was, right? It wasn't the most balanced PvP, so to speak. So in my opinion, they looked at, okay, let's try to balance it. Let's try to get into the esports scene, and all of this at the sacrifice of the hardcore base and the sacrifice of fun. Destiny 1 was more fun. The chase for the random rolls, the weapon placement, all those things that we love. They had the formula. There was no need to change it.
That is why we went after those weapons, because we wanted to have those god rolls in those PvP. And that was part of the chase, part of the fun in that game, in Destiny 1. So, I mean, for me, like people who are complaining about these god rolls and stuff, you know what? Get good. Go out there and go after it.
And that's what it was. And it really was that way. But now, with, as you mentioned, with the PvP, because they casualized it, they're literally there. Especially when I was playing back in September and October, there were 2 auto rifles that were in the energy weapon slot now, as I put it, that were literally the top tier. As long as you had one of those, you didn't need anything else. There was nothing else to go. If you wanted to use anything else, you did that in PvE. You go specifically into PvP, use one of these 2 auto rifles, and I think one submachine gun that was a kinetic. I think it was the Anti-Ope D. You use those with just very, very bare minimum of aspects, and you're set. Because of the fact that they had the fastest TTK, they were the hardest hitting, and the fact that most of them increased the flinch. So you just ran.
Everyone had the same loadout, and it discouraged weapon variety.
Exactly. There was no weapon variety, and some of the weapons that they neutered. If you looked at how the what was it? Exotic scout rifle. I can't think of it right now.
Mida.
Yeah, the Mida worked in Destiny 1. Had very fast firing, had flinch. They took away the flinch and just gave it the fast firing. So now it didn't have that same kind of aspect, and it wasn't used very much in PvP because of the fact that it didn't have that defense against something that had those added flinch. And the worst thing about it is when you mentioned the subclasses is that they took away the variety on loadouts from the subclasses.
I just talked this on Brap, and that was a huge disservice, because you basically simplified the mid-maxing, the customization. You now just basically have 2 preset, pre-made loadouts per subclass, and you're locked in. You can make no combination of a skill.
And here's the best part about that. Because of the fact that they simplified the loadouts for subclasses, is that one of them for most subclasses are very irrelevant from some of the perks that are on there. So people only use one the entire time. So you're not mixing it up. You're not making variety. You're not allowing yourself to do it. Like I always played as a hunter. And when they introduced in the Taken King the Night Stalker, it had really good abilities. It had where you can shade step. It also had the ability to where you had the increased radar, and you can see where all items are, as well as you also had an ability where you can change between either creating orbs, tethering more, and a lot of things. Or being able to increase the recovery and armor of everyone around you for all the kills while there's tethers. Now you can actually use certain exotics and use certain skills and min-max and get a majority of those by doing it the right way. But if you look at the Night Stalker build in this game, the fact is that it was either one, you had the roles that would just make you slightly invisible for a little bit longer. And then what it did was it gave you the smoke grenades that made you invisible. Those aren't very useful.
Right.
Because the fact that when you're looking at PvP, you're going to be throwing those. So why are you going to use those? And then the only thing that they gave you else was the increased smoke, but it did very little. They didn't have the venom smoke anymore that made sense with certain builds.
I just want to say one more thing on it and I'll be done with it. You know, I know Bungie doesn't like to call Destiny an MMO, and I get what they're saying there, but at the same time, I mean, what did they call it? Like a shared world shooter?
Shared world
shooter.
Yeah.
But it's
the
MMO light. The friend game, yeah. But we're not kidding ourselves. It's an MMO light game.
Bloody, let me finish, please. You talk a lot, brother. You talk a lot.
Go ahead.
But I just want to say one quick thing. So, but the thing is, at the end of the day, this is or was a grindy game. This was very MMO like, and it is still. You cannot pull yourself out of that genre. You just can't. Because if you're trying to go to the route of just say a shooter, a shared world shooter, I think that's the main problem. They tried to take some of that grind away, but you also took that longevity away.
Yes.
And the thing about MMOs, at the end of the day, what keeps people there, well, it's the hardcore audience that stays there. It's not casual. So when you cater to a casual, you're not going to get them there for the long haul. They're
going to get their stuff and they're going to go.
Yes. And that's the problem. That's why millions have left.
Yeah.
Facts. Let me just finish up, and I'm sorry for dropping. Had a little power issue, but great points, buddy. You on fire, and that's why I brought you in, because I think you represent the informed yet passionate. You're not what I consider a Destiny hater. You played this game, you love part one, and you're upset, and it hurts me to hear how bad Bungie has like dropped the ball for a person like you to be done. Because I know you're a true Destiny guy, you know what I mean? And the same thing with Fonz, the whole bit. So, and Addict, even Addict to some respect, you know, he's a raid guy. And to see the raid layers in the state, you know, that they are, it just hurts him, because that's what we do. Now, I will say this, you know, I played Warmind. It's definitely substantially better, in my opinion, than Cursible Size, which was a very low bar. So we're never going to go there. But at the end of the day, I'll probably give it a B-. Here's the thing. For the amount of content they're getting, you know, the improvements that they've made are very subtle. These are very small changes, what I consider baby steps for the hardcore to go towards the ultimate direction that they are trying to get to in September. September, from what I heard, and I'm going to be real with y'all, you know, I put the game down for a lot of months too. You know, I was very disappointed. I was upset that this direction change they went, this over-casualization, the Hawthorne, you've talked about it at nauseam, Bloody. I know you went in. My thing was, okay, now that the sales have gone down, right? Because the first year, the sales were great. They had the biggest game, 2017. Now, every subsequent month, they are not even on the, Destiny is not even on the top 10 of games sold per MPD. Like, that's tremendously low. Second, player count has dropped tremendously low. Look at the trials numbers. Look at all the ELO stats. Like, the community has moved on. Let's be honest. The competition, you got Fortnite out here, right? You got Fortnite dropping the Infinity Gauntlet DLC free on the day the Warmind dropped. You know what I'm saying? You got PUBG out here. You've got all these other things. You got Division 2 coming. I know King's
Monster Hunter World is still going.
Monster Hunter World. You've got Destiny is not only the only game in town anymore. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, and then think about October, Fonz, right? And you got Red Dead. You know, you got Call of Duty, Battlefield. You know what I'm saying?
Battlefield is what I'm looking for.
I want to say something because I'm about to take off. But
all right, I know, but I'll give it to you right after finish. And all I'm saying is, this is what I like. What I like is now they're forced to bend the knee. They got no choice to listen, because at the end of the day, this game will be done. Shout out to Ebondis. We do Flashpoint every week. This game will be done. You can pretty much say it's almost done now, right? It's trying to do a comeback. It's on life support. All I will say to you guys is that there's been a big Destiny community summit, right? And to be honest with you, Bloody, I thought this was just all dog and pony show. I thought this was just them trying to, do a PR thing. And I know a lot of content creators. I'll shout out to, Fallout Plays, Major Sean, the crew, all these guys, Mylan Games, the lore guys, all that. And they came there with the hard hitting questions. Why did you mess up this game? What were the reasonings? What was the thought process behind the design and way all these things that you changed that didn't need to be changed, right? They took the feedback. They told them those reasons why. I can't say on the NDA. That's cool. But then they came back and said, okay, well, this is what we got planned for September, guys. They told that to the community. The community looked at it and collectively said, no. If you release what you plan on releasing, this game is dead. That is not acceptable. So at that point, Bungie, the devs, they came out the room, they took all the feedback, they came back the next day and said, okay, we took what you're saying. Here's what we propose instead based on all the feedback you guys saying from the PvP community, the PvE community, the raid community, the lore community. And from what I was told from very reliable sources, that September is what everybody wants and is super excited about. Now, I was told ahead of time, Warmind is not going to change the game. They've made subtle changes that ultimately will lead to September. Now, is it too late for September? It may very well be. You got guys like you who are done with the game. They're not even trying to hear it, nor trying to pay $40 to experience a better game. I feel you. And at the end of the day, there may be nothing that can save Fonz and Bloody. That just maybe those bridges may be burnt. But I will say this from very confident sources, from people that I played, and also this new mode that people are talking about that's never been introduced in Destiny that people say is going to blow people's mind. And from a lore perspective, I'm hearing great things. Addict, it's on you, and we move on.
Look, at the end of the day, when it comes to this, it's little things that they can do to make it better on me. I feel like this expansion was good, but there was little things that they could improve on. Like, why is it we go from one mission that we run into the worm, and the next mission we fight it? The fight was kind of lame too. It's like there should have been different phases in the fight at least.
Yes.
It's like we literally he was a bullet sponge until he died. Comes to the raids. They dropped the ball every time on the raids. I haven't liked the raids since Wrath of the Machines. Leviathan was cool, but at the end of the day, it took away that serious tone from Destiny. It was a game show. The dude was messing with you the whole time.
Facts. Good point.
We get to the Osiris. Like, I personally liked the last fight of Osiris, but anything up into the last fight was trash. They could have used that never-ending forest. They could have made that into an event. It could have like randomly generated something from like maybe from year one, because that's pretty much a time machine too. No, they could have did like, if you go and click on it, like it spawns an old encounter from Destiny 1 that you can relive, like something to that matter. Like, but they don't want to do that. What they want is they want to make this game to a bridge gap where people are satisfied on the hardcore side, but they can bring as much casuals as possible so they can get their bank account as big as possible. That was their intent. Guess what? That didn't work.
It didn't work.
Then they realized that big bulk of money that they got last year, that was nice. But guess what? People ain't spending that kind of money at the verse like they were in Destiny 1, because the casuals are not going to go out. They will to that point, but you got people like, remember when what was that expansion came out and Black literally spent $100 and got everything in 10 minutes?
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Okay.
Casuals aren't doing that.
Yeah, they're not doing that. Look, we've gone completely over, so I got to ask the round table. We have to make an executive decision because we're running late.
I gotta go.
I know you got to go. That is cool, Attic. I appreciate you staying. For the final topics, we've got base consoles, the AAA, and the Days Gone. King, I'm gonna put it on you. What do you want to do? Base and the rest, or what you want to do?
Base can be very quick.
Okay.
To be honest, these topics is not expansive. It's really what do you feel type of topics.
Yeah. So let's lead them. Let's bleed them all in together. All right. So base, the AAA base console is your topic. The AAA studio announced and Days Gone impressions. King, start off your whole point with base consoles. What you talking about?
All right, dealer. I'm just gonna give you a shout out real quick. This was going on in the Twitter world this week. I talked about exclusive for Microsoft being those 4K movies. Fantastic. Watched Transformers yesterday. Anyway, I see these systems, the PlayStation Pro and Xbox One X, and I hear the rumblings talking about new systems, right? And my question is, when is it time for them to kill off these base systems like that? The 720 or the 900p Xbox that's holding up PUBG, or the base PlayStation. And really, the base PlayStation isn't a problem because the PlayStation Pro is basically the same exact thing. To be honest with you, they never really pushed the power that far away from the base, because the base PlayStation was pretty much powerful in itself. I don't think they're actually maximizing the power of the Pro, and they're not necessary. It's really, this question is basically really for Microsoft. When is it time for them to kill off their base system and allow the power that's inside the X to shine through? When would y'all be comfortable for the base system to go the way of the dinosaur?
Let's solve jumping because he had to go through the Endure the Destiny topic.
I'm sorry.
I'm back.
He's part of the panel, y'all. Continue.
Button is on. Off. I'll say this for Microsoft. I mean, they already got rid of their base system, right? We're talking about the S here, right? So for Microsoft, to me, it's not a matter of when they do it, because again, their whole strategy moving forward is this iterative thing. So they're going to be happy with all these consoles coexisting. I think at some point, right, the X does become the de facto console, but that's going to be because of the innards of that machine. We're looking at, when they're comfortable selling that machine at $300 is when you don't really see the S anymore. And I don't know if that's anytime soon. On the PlayStation side, I think it goes back to the same for them. I think it's $200 when they're comfortable selling that Pro at $200, $250, maybe a packing game or something like that. Then we see them moving and not necessarily phasing out the PlayStation 4, the base PlayStation, but you'll be selling that console for $150. I don't think, they've made their money at the back end of every console generation, selling, $100, $150 consoles, slims, things like that. So we haven't really seen a redesign of the PS4, a slim version. So that's something that could be in the pipeline too, for considerably cheaper. So to me, the lifespan of the PS4 per se is as a base console is going to be around for a while. I don't see it really going anywhere.
Lord Fonz, what do you feel on the base consoles?
Yeah, I don't think they're ever going anywhere. Or, well, they're not going anywhere this generation anyway. I just don't think that they're going to. Come on. I mean, that's the majority of the players out there. They own these base consoles. And so I don't think they're going to get rid of them anytime soon. They'll start to phase them out once the next generation starts, maybe mid-gen, start phasing out those older consoles, maybe just keep around the X and the Pro. I don't know. But as far as the Pro and the PS4, though, like King said, there's not much difference between those two. You know what I'm saying? Resolution bump, but man, the Pro is a good system still, man. The base model.
Okay. Awesome. No doubt, Lord Bloody. What do you feel about base model?
I mean,
consoles?
It's kind of a time thing, because especially if you look at Microsoft, they already got rid of the OG. They transitioned over as the S being the new base. That it's the one that does more than the OG did. Offer that 4K scaling and at a very reasonable price point, averaging sometimes around $180 up to I think it's $250 normally. Like that's their base. And I think that once we start seeing the X really drop down to like 400, because we see it going on sales for about 450 to sometimes 400, but once they set it to about 400, 350 and kind of go lower, we're going to see the S kind of phase out, and that may not be for another 2 years or so. But
fair enough.
But with the PlayStation, the Slim is a step down from what the base PS4 does, and they announced the Slim later, and then now they have the Pro. Like at some point, it's shown that they're making and pushing for the Pro to be the de facto PS4. So it's about that time to really kind of phase out the base PS4. Maybe keep the Slim if they want that optional price point for a lot of the wider audience who may not want the Pro, but with the fact that the Pro being, what is it, 400, and it's often on sale for 350, almost 300 on quite often. They're making that their mainstay, and that's their big selling point. You see it in all their commercials: PlayStation Pro, PlayStation Pro, PlayStation Pro. So it's about time for Sony to really phase out the base. Maybe, like I said, keep the Slim for another year or so, and then maybe phase it out. But it's obvious that the Pro is going to be their main de facto all around, whereas Microsoft is focusing on using S as the family console, the entry console, and that the X is, for a lot more the hardcore and those who really want the best tech, and that we're going to see that be their mainstay, in a few years.
Yeah, no, I think you guys are making all good points at the round table. I think we're just in a different space now. I think honestly, the way the ecosystem is and these mid-generation console refreshes are, it's one of those things that, they're trying to move. Everyone's trying to educate people, moving forward, moving your library forward and stuff like that. I do agree with King in one sense, though. I mean, I think I agree with Fonz in the sense that, look, that's the majority of the base. I don't see them getting rid of it completely right now. But at the end of the day, if both companies apply the philosophy of moving your library forward, at some point, the base will not be able to keep up with PS5 and Xbox 2. At some point. So there's going to have to be a hard line in the sand. It almost reminds me of the iterative updates with iPhone, right? I remember having I'm not an iPhone guy, but I had an iTouch or something, 'cause I use it just for music when I'm at the gym. And at some point, it was it took me about 4 or 5 years. They upgraded the firmware and, the iPhone 10 or whatever came out. My old iTouch could not compete. It could not do certain things. And I had to get a new phone. So I think at some point there will be a hard line in the sand, a cutoff point, which will probably bring a smile to Lord King's face because he wants to phase out base consoles. He's got nothing but love for premium experiences. So I know he'll be happy about that, but that's what I got on it. What you got on what you call base before you move on real quick to the other last two?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, cool.
I'm good with it. Like I told you, I said it was just a temperature, for
taking the temperature, no doubt. So I just want to bring shout out to TF God, who's very patient on this. Wanted to bring the Microsoft Quadruple A Studio announced. More A's than you can handle. You know what I'm saying? So they talking about now, the defunct Windows. Shout out to Lord Jez Gordon, man. It's a tremendous article on Windows Central right now, and talking about what's going on with obviously the promotion of Matt Booty, the first party games lead, the hiring of the ex-Tomb Raider studio, Daryl Gallagher, and it's setting up in South California. It's kind of like where Santa Monica is at, Sony, and they're setting up a new studio out there, in SoCal, and they're talking Quadruple A as far as budget, as far as making a focal point, and Microsoft trying to make a splash into resuscitating that first party. So I'm bringing it to the Lords. Let's start with Fonz and then Bloody. What do we feel about the Quadruple A announcement in Santa Monica, and what can we expect? What do you think, Fonz?
I think they should start with getting some triple A's out there first.
Damn.
No, honestly, it's a step in the right direction. I think this is good news, and this is something to be excited about as a gamer in general. People who are naysaying this and bad mouthing it, just come on, it's not necessary. They're at least putting together a studio here that should put out some good product. That remains to be seen, but step in the right direction.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Lord Bloody, what do you feel about the quadruple, the A's in the building?
I mean, it's a great thing, and I actually mentioned this back on GRG, and the fact is that one, we know this was the studio that was being set up for Gallagher because he's right there in California, and that they defined it as being a very big budget studio, budget studio with over $100 million. That means that they're really trying to put together a big team to do really big projects, these big
Yep, that's what Lord Sam told was saying about the budget.
And much love to him. But the thing about it too is that think about the location and what they're doing. They're putting it right in Santa Monica. California Texas, some in Washington, and a few
Yes.
on the East Coast are big hotspots for talent. We see so many big studios in these 4 specific areas.
Yes.
Right there in Santa Monica, you see Santa Monica Sony division that did all that. We've seen, Naughty Dog around, and here in Texas, you have its studios, you have a Bethesda studio, you have a BioWare studio in Austin and Dallas. There's so many big studios, and California is such a big hotspot. From LA to San Diego and all that area are big hotspots for tech companies and talent for these. So them deciding to want to really put a big studio there and put someone who, with Gallagher more than likely being the head of the studio, who brought back really big franchises in new ways with what he did with Crystal Dynamics and Tomb Raider alongside Cory Ballarg. He knows what he's doing. He can bring fresh air into either already made IPs or bring a fresh idea to something new with a big team. This is a great thing, and anyone who's thinking bad of it, no, this is a good thing, because this further pushes innovation in gaming, because this helps push Sony to make either bigger studios or double down with the studios they have to do something even better. It's a great thing all the way around.
Shout out to Doogie Howser, DDS in the chat, hating. Just marketing jargon from Microsoft. They've been mostly all fluff this gen, scant on anything if tangible. He's not feeling the quadruple A.
I got what it is, though. I'll tell you in a second.
Lord Soft.
So it's funny you mentioned that, because I think it's more than marketing jargon. I mean, when you say quadruple A, right, it sounds like a marketing buzzword, right? But when I think about AAA, right, I think about 3 specific pillars that identify those games for me, right? I think about gameplay and mechanics. I think about tech and graphics, and I think about story, and I think about these publishers trying to excel at every single one of these things to make a cohesive product that's appealing on a wild scale. That to me is what AAA is, right? So when you add that extra A for what Microsoft is talking about, to me, for Microsoft, that signifies service. I think for me,
you're scaring them though, Solve. You say service, you're scaring them.
I have a very hard time believing that Microsoft is going to do any sort of game moving forward that doesn't incorporate some level of service.
Wow. Wait. So are you saying no single player though?
No, I'm not saying no single player. I'm just saying they're going to incorporate service in some way, shape, or form. I think by what Phyllis said, there's a dedication to bringing those types of games, what we consider, the God of War, is the PlayStation sort of blueprint. I think that's coming, but I think those games are coming with the addition of some sort of service model. I think that's Microsoft's lane. I don't see them abandoning that. So when they say quadruple A, that last A for me means services.
Okay, fair enough. Shout out to Sam Toba in the chat, just dropping knowledge. He's thinking that the studio is also going to be in charge of incubating other new studios. He's also saying that the quadruple A, also kind of doubling down on what Bloody was talking about in reference to just the amount of investment that's going in, as far as that. So let's get it to the king. You know what I'm saying? This is his Lord and Savior. Bill speaks that working in mysterious ways. His man.
This is what I got to say about it. Being that they're gonna put it in Santa Monica, hopefully they put it right next to Sony Studios.
Oh my God!
They got osmosis.
Listen, listen, I don't care. They working. Let some of that stuff rub off on them. All right?
Oh, okay. You want the greatness to rub off.
Yeah, I want them to sit right next to them. I want them to eat the same foods that they eat. I want them to watch.
Wait, that sounds like a Fortnite situation.
Listen, I want them to PUBG that Fortnite. I want them to do that situation. But this is what the last A stands for me. Yeah. It stands for a surveillance drone up in the sky, making sure that they copy off of their paper. Because apparently these dudes got the answers and you don't. So I don't care how many A's you put in there. You could put 8 A's. I don't care how many A's you hit. Like Lord Fonzarelli said, could we get 3 A's? I don't care how many A's you get. Could we get 1 A? Let's start off with 1 A, and then we can get 2 A's, and we can get 3. So when somebody yells out there, yo, we got 4 A's. Shut up. Check your face up and stop it right now. Listen, you don't even got a body or you're cracking. So listen,
I'm dead.
Let's keep it funky. You guys, listen, man. That's the problem. I don't know who wrote that there. I think he made a mistake. He probably didn't understand it was AAA Studio. I know, and I know the dude. It's not right. It's not right. You shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have said that. That's the problem.
If this was Sony and they said quadruple A, it would be passed. It would be swallowed much easier for people
because they do good games.
Yo, shout out to Slowmo. He said the Kraken is a 1A product. I'm dead.
Yo, you know what? And I cannot take nothing away from that comment. That comment is validated in your opinion. This is true.
That's the thing. I mean, when you think of this generation, can you name me a game on the Xbox that's an exclusive game that you'll remember from this gen?
I like Gears. I wouldn't say.
But it's
right. Rise Son of Rome really was a surprise for me.
But it's not.
But that bar is kind of low for us to even be saying.
Come on now.
No, I love Rise. Don't get me wrong. Bloody.
I'm talking about 10 years down the line. You're not going to remember this the Xbox for this generation. You're not.
They're dropping some hard
I might remember it for my love of PUBG and chicken dinner.
That was good.
I can't front. I might really love that.
Let's segue to the last.
Let's do this last one. Let's do it.
Get out of here. Days Gone has released, and some footage. Game Informer has some great footage up.
Said it released.
Well, not released. I apologize.
Oh,
You're correct.
Brother,
It did not release.
You was about to see me run up out of here and pay for it right now on my PlayStation. This conversation was over.
Preview information. Actually. I apologize. So to give you some backstory about what's going on, I just want to bring this to the round table. Have anyone got a chance to check out any of the footage? Let's give it to Bloody. Oh, have you got a chance to see anything on Days Gone? Did the title interest you? Has it never interest you?
I've been very touch and go with Days Gone. It does look interesting. When they first announced it, and it looked very, World War Z.
Yes,
hundreds of zombies just chasing the dude. And you see him just kind of running through that lumber yard trying to escape, and then kind of get stuck at the top, and they're just flooding. I thought that was an awesome concept, and now they still have some of that, but they're really going down into the story of the main character. And I watched some of the footage. It looks good. It does still definitely show its flaws. I do know it was an alpha footage. The frame rate and all that kind of stuff I wasn't too bothered about. I want to see more of the direction and kind of get more out of what they're going to do with it. It does hold my attention right now.
Right.
But it is also going to be comparing and fighting with that zombie aspect, especially with World War Z having being made an official game, having that same kind of style zombies, but as they're called, I believe they're called freakers and Days Gone, which is one of those things that I'm just like, all right then. But to each their own. But it is going to be in a weird spot. But people say that they're tired of zombies. But each game sometimes
each game comes out.
Yeah, it keeps coming out. But I mean, zombies are one of those things that are kind of iconic, and each game kind of does them differently. Left 4 Dead did them very well, and a lot of people remember Left 4 Dead. State of Decay's doing it in a very different manner.
Speaking of which, did you feel the timing of their Days Gone's announcement was kind of interesting once the State of Decay?
Oh, absolutely. I know exactly. GameSpot did that right there. But we're not going to go into that. But I'm gonna keep an eye on Days Gone and see what they do with it. I believe that's one of the games that they are stating that they're going to show off at E3. So we're all going to get to see it live.
No doubt.
Kind of see how that goes from there.
No doubt. Lord Fonzarelli, what Days Gone? Any interest? I know you're a zombie guy.
I'll just say that Days Gone hour footage did no justice. It didn't do anything for me. It actually made me think, why'd they even show this stuff?
Whoa!
This is alpha footage. Like, what's the point? I've never understood why they want to put their worst foot forward. These devs sometimes they'll release gameplay and say, "Oh, but this is really, really old."
Damn.
Why would you do that? To me, it does a disservice to your product. And I just thought it didn't look well polished at all, and it had some jank to it here and there, and the game itself, I'm still not hooked on this game. I mean, there's something about it that's it screams too much Last of Us, but without the heart in the story there. And so and I think that's why they released it sort of early, showing it anyway, because they know at E3 stacked up against The Last of Us 2, it's not going to do well at all.
Yeah, it wasn't mentioned as part of the 4. I thought that was interesting.
And it won't be, and I don't think it's going to be a main focus, and that's the reason why they let Game Informer take it here.
I thought it was GameSpot.
No,
Game Informer.
Game Informer has it. Yeah.
Okay.
And as far as the zombie genre, for me, it's still State of Decay all the way. The survivalist aspect, the RPG elements, it's got everything going for it.
No doubt. Lord Sov, Days Gone. I'm very curious. You're the single player suffrage experience.
I usually try not to watch a lot of footage of these games beforehand, especially not an hour of footage. But I did watch this because I sort of feel the same way that Fonz does and Nux does, where it's like, what is this game? What is it trying to be? It fits that Sony mold perfectly from an aesthetic point of view. But where's the heart of this game, right? And after seeing that footage, like, to me, it just feels like sort of an amalgam of gameplay systems from games like State of Decay, The Last of Us, even Far Cry, like with the crafting and the survival aspects of it, the open world aspects of it. Like it's questionable how open the world really is. Something that I saw was like, well, you're on the motorcycle. They never showed the motorcycle go off-road. The motorcycle was always on an actual road. And they always made sure that when you walked off to the side, you were walking. You weren't actually riding. You couldn't ride the bike into the middle of the forest and do whatever you wanted. So it seems like it's a limited open world.
I don't think it's open world.
Like God of War.
They never right. It's right. It's linear wide, right? Where you can do certain stuff, but they're claiming it's an open world, right? What other stuff like there's only one writer for the game, right? So it means like that the stories, the vision for the story is unified, right? But it also seemed like the characters felt a little cookie cutter. I like the interactions between Deacon, which is the best porn name ever, Deacon St. John.
Deacon St. John, baby.
Wow. Wow.
I like the interactions between him and his friend, like at the
We're the Iron Lord podcast. Does not endorse that.
Put out the disclaimer early.
Disclaimer.
We do not endorse that statement in any form or fashion.
You were about to go buy a game right now with Deacon St. John.
Brother.
So, I mean, the interactions between the two main characters seem cool. They seem like very natural. But the writing seemed a little tropey. This guy's angry, his wife is dead, this, that, and the other. It also seems like they borrowed a lot of stuff from like Horizon Zero Dawn, like the crafting stuff. Yeah, exactly. All of these games. Yeah. So it's just, to me, it's a matter of how is this game going to differentiate itself from those other games.
I think some of these developers, they have their own interpretations of open world because I think Bungie have an open world. It's not open.
It's like happy hour.
It's like a
lot of bars got different ideas of happy hour. It's really,
shout out to
happy 20 minutes.
He said, if you're interested in zombie games that aren't Days Gone, be sure to check out TICGN.com tomorrow at noon. Lord Editor looks like he's gonna have something cooking on that article. Lord King, let's wrap this thing, man.
My thing is this, and I'm not even gonna mince words with it. Lord Cognito just said the game came out. Y'all would really was going to see my whole screen was gonna go whoop, and I was out of here. All right, did that let you know I did not watch any of this footage? I don't do that. Sony experiences are exactly what they are. This is what I was talking about before when I say I don't believe Gears of War was actually Gears of War. I actually believe it was another game, and they just slapped Gears of War on top of it through the mythos. They had the stuff set up properly. It could have been easily Days Gone. It could have had zombies, Kratos zombies, whatever. I just feel that being that this game doesn't have a big name attached to it, people feel like, oh, you know, what is it about? What's the heart of the game? That was crazy when you said that. I wanted to know the heart of the game. I don't care about the heart of the game. The game looks good. I'm gonna purchase it because Sony said so. That's a fact. It's a new joint. I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna see what it does. If it pans out, it pans out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I have seen so far in this generation and last generation, Sony has taken these one-player experiences and fleshed them out for me, and they all been good.
I got to interject though. I got to say though, the reason why me and Saul, I think, said the same thing about no heart to this game so far is because in those other games that Sony has put out, they've grabbed us to some degree with these stories in these trailers
from the very beginning. Yeah.
And this one has not grabbed me at all yet.
What they showed you was the horde of the zombies. Like it was awesome when you saw it. I thought it was awesome.
But the issue is Sony games with these story narrative games. That's what they rely on most, is these story focused games. And if we don't see that story panning out, the zombies and stuff just I could play Decay all day.
But that's it.
But they put out 1,000 zombies joint in one joint. Like it was like, literally when they bust through that wall, there was 1,000 zombies. I said they pushing the engine. They're pushing it. I like
with all that said though, I'm still purchasing day one. Like when it comes to Sony, no, I am, like, no question.
I know you was.
I'm still, but when it comes to Sony, there's a few things that are impressive here, right? They've let Bend work on this game for God knows how long, right? They've been working on this since after Golden Abyss.
Masterpiece.
Right? And so they're gonna let them take the time to make the game what they want it to be. And even if the first outing of this game isn't a God of War, 10 of 10 or whatever, they're going to probably allow them to make another one. And this has been the MO for years already.
Stick with people.
So regardless to what I see this being the start of something. Regardless of how the first one pans out.
No doubt. I'm going to finish it up because Sinister's hitting us with the wrap it up, B.
Yeah.
With the wrap it up, B.
You gotta give people their money's worth.
You gotta pay for that wrap it up. Because Jay Fozzarelli, he paid for wrap it up, and we cut that.
I'll end it, man. I'll end it. Yeah, listen, I saw it. I've had medium interest in Days Gone since we saw it. Shout out to Attic. We went, behind the seat with Ben Studio and got a chance to see some behind the scenes on it, and it looks cool. It looks cool. I agree with King. I did kind of thought the zombie horde mechanic was interesting. I just like the dynamic between using the horde against enemies as well. I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm not saying it's the most unique thing I've ever seen. No, I guess for me, it's playing on. I'm a huge Sons of Anarchy fan, so for whatever reason, Deacon is the character that reminds me of the whole dude. What's his name from the leader? So you know what I'm talking about.
I thought you was going to the porn name.
No, not that name. Just I forgot homie's name from Sons of Anarchy. Just from blanking right now. But anyway, the main character. So we'll see. Like I said, what I saw recently. Was it anything wowing? Oh my God, never seen before. No. And I do agree with Fonz though, in the sense that because it's that narrative driven type game, it needs to kind of meet that level. And unfortunately, because of games like God of War right now, the bar is so high. So now we kind of look at everything with the quine eye, with the side eye, like, how's your story gonna be though? Because we just came off the God of War experience. So
that story though.
Yeah,
it's too familiar to State of Decay. I mean, not State of Decay, Last of Us. It's too familiar to that. It just
we don't know yet. It might be the horde though.
Yeah. Shout out to Victor Elstein. Yeah, we did answer the Bonnie Ross question, Victor. We had you earlier. You may have missed it right after combat. But no, I hear what you're saying, Fonz. And time will tell. We will see. But that's what we got. Let's wrap this thing up and poll question, do the outros, get out of here. So poll question. When leaks, this is inspired by Jay Fonzarelli. When leaks from credible sources are revealed prior to E3, how does this impact your view of the E3 conferences when they go live? The choices are A, love it. I want to know all the leaks, all the plans. B, hate it. Ruins my E3 experience. Or C, you mad because Sony E3 plans are still lit. Those are the
Is there a D? Is there a D?
There is no D this week.
Oh,
It's
God.
just C. That is the question. Those are the choices. Please rock the vote. Hit the ILP Twitter poll. Here it goes on. Lord Fonzarelli, Lord Bloody Knuckles, a pleasure to have you on this Mother's Day. We went extra long. I apologize, but just for you guys to be in the realm, long overdue. Lord Fonzarelli, where can people find you? And first of all, thank you for coming through, man.
Oh, dude, my pleasure, man. Anytime you guys want me, I'm like, cool. Sunday mornings, easy for me to get here.
Nice.
Anyway, I appreciate it. You can find me at Jay Fonzarelli on YouTube and Twitter. On YouTube, it's Jay, then space Fonzarelli. For some reason, that's the way it is.
Yeah, it's hard finding you on YouTube. I had to put that space.
Yeah, you put the space, I pop up. But anyway, and other than that, you can find me on RDX on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern time on the channel.
Yep.
And also, I'm no longer on the Saltiest podcast, but follow them Thursdays on Saltiest Gaming's channel. They do a great podcast there.
Absolutely. Shout out to the Salt, Irrelevant, all the crew. You know what I'm saying? I love that podcast. Great podcast. No doubt. And first of all, also, Lord Fonz, thank you so much for indulging us in combat sports. We had maybe 1 or 2 haters in the chat that way. But
I think those was plants.
Those are
there was some talk behind the scenes, and I believe that they was planted in the crowd. There was paid hecklers. I don't listen to y'all.
Yeah, but I always appreciate you coming through.
Yeah, I think that somebody in the chat wants an outro by Captain Neutral.
Oh, yes, let's get Captain Neutral. Come on.
I am Captain Neutral. And I send this message to any logical gamers taking refuge among the toxicity of social media. We are here. We are waiting.
Captain Neutral has made it to the realm. I'm proud, man. I never had Captain Neutral in the realm.
Making good use of that Xbox voice changer, right?
Remember that back in the day? Remember that?
I love that thing. That thing, you had women able to play games and not be harassed.
Yeah. True. It's awesome. Yo, shout out to Fonz once again. The combat sports was lit. Timestamps will go up later for people who didn't watch it live if you have an issue. Shout out to Lord Kaibatsu. Lord Bloody Knuckles making his debut in the realm with that passionate Destiny 2 talk.
Woo,
my
like
man.
me.
Dropping bombs out here. He had me in my feelings, and I'm like, wait a minute, but he's kind of saying the right things, though. Lord Bloody, man. Absolute pleasure. Where can the fine people find you?
Man, everyone can find me on Twitter at Bloody Knuckles. The O's are 0s, the E's are 3s. Of course, they can find us on my show every Saturday, the Smash Podcast.
Yes.
You know,
what Saturdays? What time? Plug it, sir. What's that?
We
time?
go on 2:30 Central. Sometimes we go a little bit later, depending on our guests, because we do want to accommodate to everyone. So just be looking out for it, and especially if you missed yesterday's episode, check it out. We did go into it. There was some good stuff. But 2 weeks ago, you have to see our spoiler cast on.
Yes, Lord King.
We did 3.5 hours. I'm telling you, 3.5 hours.
Sounds like today.
Yeah. But here's the thing: is we didn't even know it went 3.5 hours. We were just going off, and King David came out there with us. We had the homie Jamie Moran, UK. He was on there with us.
Jamie Moran was on.
Yep, Jamie Moran was out there with us. We had 108 Dragons TV with us for a little bit. It was a good show. Just real passionate. It was actually one of our highest viewed videos, hitting over 100. So please check it out. We're closing in on 100 subs.
Woo! Help that man out, man. Love what you're doing out here, man.
Thanks, man. But I'm so glad you reached out, Cognito. Like I said, ever since I sat with you and King David on Saltiest Gaming, you know, loved the guys. I started trying to catch in when I can. You've heard me going about Destiny, so I knew you were just waiting for this.
You knew I had to grab you for this topic. You know one thing about me and the Lord, it's like even when people disagree with me or we have different viewpoints, I respect educated opinions. Exactly. And one thing is, I always think I'm like, this guy's passionate. He knows what he's talking about, though. And it's great to have those debates. And that's one thing we welcome in the Lord's, in the realm, you know, even if we're on different sides of the fence, just to come in there and talk and to understand perspective. And that's definitely why I appreciate you. And I had to have you on that Warmind content. Knew it's going to be lit.
I know. And I appreciate that, because that's what I've always said is it doesn't matter any of the console war nonsense. We clown around with each other, but the thing is, at the end of the day, we're all gamers. You know, we're all family. We're a community. We have to get past that. If we want gaming to grow and continue to grow, you have to have discussions. You can't go vitriolic on any side. You have to be able to talk openly and see the good and bad on both sides.
Absolutely, man. That's why you're needed in the realm, and like what you're doing, man. Lord Brap, you're late. You're just coming in. You're ending. You missed some good stuff, man. But yeah, absolutely appreciate it, man. Absolutely fantastic discussion. Lord Sav, Lord, I had to go. I know you had Mother's Day going on. Lord Sav, where can the find people not find you?
Hopefully, first of all, big shout out to Bloody Nux and Fonz, man. You guys are fantastic. That was it. I asked Cognito this morning, like, who's gonna be on? He was like, oh, you'll see. Fantastic having you guys on. As for me, you cannot find me at ILP on Twitter and BX Sovereign on PSN and Xbox Live. Hopefully this week, it's been 2 weeks since I've been able to touch God of War. I've been on the same Valkyrie fight for 2 weeks.
Wow.
I'm trying to get some God of War in. So we'll see if that happens.
No doubt. Lord King bringing that energy, that Convoy Sports energy. You know what I'm saying?
That Nintendo hate was in the building.
Fire with Nintendo.
I gotta say this, man. Shout out to the special guests, Jay Fonzarelli and Bloody Knuckles. Let me tell you something. I had my cake and ate it too today. This is what happened. Because with the combat sports, I'm so happy that he saw the Lomachenko fight, and I definitely saw some of the UFC. So I love when he comes through. And I link him in every tweet that I put out that has anything to do with combat sports, because his love for combat sports shines through.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. Because Lord Fonzarelli, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, you inspired us to continue to do it, because we were kind of unsure. It's something that we always done.
Hey, and I love listening to this combat sports talk. So, when you guys were doing it, I was surprised. When I first heard you guys doing that, I was like, yes, finally, I get to hear somebody that knows what they're talking about, and it's fun and engaging. It's awesome what you do.
Facts. And for, like I said, for the community that loves it, we really appreciate it. For those who are on the fence on it, we appreciate you respecting the timestamps. Those will be out. So you can always, if that's not your thing, you just go right on to the next thing.
It's everybody's thing. Those was plants that was putting here today. I don't listen to that. That washes over my back, because let me tell you something. If you know nothing about combat sports, you understand my enthusiasm, and if you can ride with me all the way through, you'll definitely ride to the end. Check this out, though. Bloody Knuckles, I'm going to tell you something. You kind of scared me with the white hand gloves that you had on with Nintendo, and you was juggling them so nicely like little water.
When he got to that Destiny topic, though.
But when you got to that Destiny topic,
that was real bloody
Knuckles. That was real bloody. That was the Knuckles, like,
I was like, oh
definitely winning. And
I was like, I'm gonna lose all my subs.
I felt the passion. I felt it like I felt it that day on the Smash podcast. I'm gonna tell you right now, brother. Like I told you before, anytime you want me there, I'm there. I love everything about this show today. It was fantastic. You guys can catch me everywhere. You know where it is. But I'm going to tell you, those T-shirts is going to be 2 weeks out. Then I'm going to put up the link so everybody can pre-order. I know you're hitting me. My DMs is going crazy. The shirts will be out. Will be 5 colors, and we will have those sizes for the big plus guys.
Yes, absolutely. And the colors for the ladies of the realm, the mothers of the realm, of course.
Shout out to matriarchs on that.
I'm telling you, David, I need to get one of those, because I want that when we all meet up in E3 Live.
That's right. We're gonna be out there in LA, man. Fonz, man, you're not that far, so we need to see you too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Drinks.
We're gonna be in your state, man. But anyway, the realness has been spread in the realm. Yo, shout out to the chat today. Absolutely fantastic. So much fun. So many people. Shout out to Dealer, Brad. Oh, so many faces, man.
Y'all still here, man. I
still rocking with us to the very end. Much appreciated. Again, for those who are interested in the Destiny scene, Flashpoint number 14 with my man Ebontis on the eve of the Warmind. It was up. We can talk about that and get into all that if you want a deeper dive. Just stay away from Bloody. He might hate on it. but much appreciated. Shout out to everyone. And also shout out to Lord Kaibatsu. The audio will be up with timestamps later on today. And make sure you hit the like and subscribe to all the Inner Circle media outlets. Multiverse will be tomorrow. Sam Tolbert has an article going up on TICGN.com. Also, shout out to the affiliates, BRAP, Four Guys with Quarters, NLG, all our brethren under the Tick banner. Much appreciated. And we're going to have a very, very special show next week. We're going to start our prediction series, and Nintendo will be up. So it is going to be interesting. So yeah, make sure you're in pocket. We got some big guests. It's gonna be like a little Switch Gang mob boss kind of feel. That's what we're going for. So please do that. Everybody enjoy your Mother's Day. Anybody got anything to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, get your friend codes out for next week.
Exchanging friend codes.
No. Last thing I want to plug real quick is definitely check our channel, because we have a couple videos that we're putting up. We're trying to expand. Neth actually just made 2 going in about Venom. So if you're looking at that, you want to see those, as well as I'm actually going to be posting up anime reviews and stuff like that here soon.
What's the channel name? What's the channel name? Come on now.
Come on, Bloody Knuckles Smash Podcast. Look it up. Come on.
No doubt. All right. Now, we're ending it. Everyone enjoy their Sunday and happy Mother's Day.